Hello there. Said hello too soon until I saw that it's confirmed that I am on live. What's this little text notice here? Delay ads, insert ads during a break. Oh, never mind. Yeah, I got monetized recently for my channel, so now I'm getting all this extra information. Um, I don't know how much money this is going to bring or not, but I did reach a monetization level, and a lot of that had to do with the video I posted about my intuitive reading with Amelia Earhart. Got over 48,000 views, the closest thing I've ever had to anything going viral. And it gave me enough watch hours to be finally monetized on YouTube after trying for a long time and maybe not trying as hard as I should. But a lot of other things have been going on. But now I'm taking it a lot more seriously again. And of course, right now, I'm just dealing with all of this heat here in Los Angeles. You may see me breaking out in a lot of sweat. I had my face all mopped down and everything, and already I'm sweating again. Air conditioning is on, fan is blowing. You may hear it down below at my feet. If I turned this fan off, I would be sweating profusely. I'm just working on a lot of different projects right now. I have several art commissions going to do my work for Dr. Whimsy Anderson. I have this live stream here on Mondays, my live streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays with Dr. Whimsy Anderson and Joel Tilson on the Oracle of Whimsy channel. Love that I have a lot of crossovers here. Well, hello, Helen Hummingbird. Love your name. And Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Thank you for joining, asking how I am. I guess the best answer to that is the old standby answer of I'm hanging in there, hanging in. I talked about the loss of Sasha last week because I just wanted to get it over with, get it over in one fell swoop. I'm sure people will be asking today. I'm sure I will be getting viewers still asking, well, how is Sasha? How do you tactfully answer a question like that when your cat is dead? It's been hard. It's hard, and I can't believe it's only been since what was July 23rd? What was that, about 10 days ago? That's all. Hi, Jess. Oh, thank you for asking. Yeah, I'm doing better. It's any of us who go through grief, we know this. We know that it's a process. It's a process, and those of us who are pet lovers, we know it doesn't matter what species, whether it be human or animal, the size of that being. In my case, it was a little 8-pound cat, 8-pound Siamese cat. You know, what it is that love is love. Love is love. Unconditional love, devotion, the special friendship you have with an animal that you've lived with 24/7. And it's there with you when you go to bed at night, when you wake up in the morning, you come in the door. It's hard to let go of that. Let's see, Helen, can I get into a reading? What's coming in my life in the next 4 weeks? Yeah, let me get around to that. Let me, I just started the show, and see if I have some other people. Well, maybe while I'm waiting on other people, I can do that. I didn't do readings last week because of all the grief I was under, and I was going to try it. And it was actually dear Dr. Whimsy Anderson who came on and functioned as a sort of makeshift. Sorry, I'm getting my lap desk here. I didn't know I was going to do this so soon. She functioned as a makeshift moderator, and she just put in posting up, Chuck is not doing readings today. And I was so grateful for her for that. Helen, what's coming in your life the next 4 weeks? And my method is, of course, I work with oracle cards. I use them as a prompt. I don't use the guidebook that came with Sonia Choquette's ask your guide cards. I guess I'll ask that all the time. What are you working with? I just use the wording on the cards. I use the images on the card as intuitive prompts for myself. And it's so interesting. I got for you, and I just said, what do you have coming up in the next 4 weeks? I don't know if you've been feeling any sense of deprivation, and that's not always a big heavy thing. We all have feelings of this, like things could be better, it could be different, something is missing, something I want to go for, but I'm sensing that there has been a little bit of deprivation there. And you'll see this is also about calling upon your prosperity guides. Seems like this is a common theme for many people right now with frankly, the disaster our economy is right now, the way things look politically, the war, oil. A lot of people I talk to on the phone are worried right now about this. But I'm not getting that it's anything excessively heavy. There's just maybe a feeling of that there. But I'm sensing that you have your own intuitive gifts, as we all do. And you're going to have some sort of epiphany. You're going to have some sort of idea of what to do around this. And I would just remind you, this is a good time. Journal, write, meditate. Take that time to be quiet, because I see some sort of epiphany coming your way. It's going to be about balancing your life, giving more balance, more order, more peace to your life. But ultimately, there's going to be a gift of some kind from that. And you've got some new beginnings, new starts coming out of that. So that's what I'm sensing for you in the next 4 weeks. So I hope that, as I always say, I hope that resonates with you. And I'd love it if you come back on a future show and tell me if I was on target with that. But those were the cards that jumped out of my deck for you. And that's what I was feeling intuitively. Let me get back to my messages here. Yes, Kelly, grief definitely comes in waves. I even said that. Helen, Hummingbird, you said I'm just anxious. Yeah, I think that's where some of that deprivation was coming from. Like, there is something lacking, something you're waiting on, something that does make you feel a little nervous. But I'm feeling that you are going to get that inspiration. You are going to get an epiphany that's going to lead you to the next direction. So just really, really pay attention to it. But yeah, Kelly, as you said, grief does come in waves. I even said that last week on the show, that you can be just fine. And then out of nowhere, it's like a tidal wave hitting you. I certainly went through that when my mother died. August 9th, it's going to make 23 years that she's passed. And I wasn't prepared for the myriad of emotions coming my way. I had been lucky. I hadn't had a whole lot of loss in my life, because 3 of my 4 grandparents died before I was even born. I come from a very small family. I'd been blessed to have not lost too many close friends in my life. But when my mother died, oh my God, I was going into primal places. And certainly I had some of that coming up with Sasha. It was, any of you who saw Sasha on the show knows how close the two of us were. I would have people even refer to us like we were a married couple or something. Oh, Chuck and Sasha, we were a team. We were spoken of together all the time by friends. It's a big loss. Helen Hummingbird, thank you for saying that. Thank you so much. I always try to do my heartfelt best for people. I do my best to be honest, be sincere, just say what I'm seeing. And if I'm not getting an answer, I'll say that too. I think it's essential that we always be in our integrity when we do this type of work. Tabitha, what was this? Tabitha Sage 4189. Can you see what the cards say for me? Sure. Let me shuffle these. They're still in the other position here. Okay, I don't know what this means here. Because I'm just doing these readings cold. I do a private reading. I have a chance to really connect with the person. We talk a little bit. I hear energy in their voice. It's a chance to bring in more guidance. These are just quick, cold readings with the cards. But what I got is there any kind of competition in your life, and maybe a little bit of denial around that competition? Like something is tugging you or somebody close in your life, some sort of competition. I'm getting that, and there's some sort of denial coming somewhere from it. But I'm also getting for you, this was the first thing I got, is you really need to get out more in your community. You are a life force, and you're meant to be taking that more out into your community. There's something you're meant to be doing a little more publicly, or maybe not. When I say publicly, it may not be in a big, huge, dramatic way, but something in your community you need to be more involved in. You've got your life force, and you have something to be contributing to your community. So that's what jumped out of the deck for you. Pat Sparrow, great to see you. So much emotion, Miss Sasha. Yes. I got a lot of response from that show. Oh, you're very welcome, Tabitha Sage. And I hope that resonated for you. I hope so. Yeah, Pat, that was just a very different show for me to do, because the theme of the show has always been from the beginning old Hollywood stories. I'm an expert on the television show I Love Lucy, The Life of Lucille Ball. I worked on a book. We weren't able to publish it, but we came very, very close. Random House almost bought it. It was the money people that shot it down, but I spent 3 years of my life working with the wonderful late Bart Andrews, who was the original author of the I Love Lucy book. So I have lots to talk about there. Always do for shows. And 75th anniversary is coming up. Lucy's birthday is coming up very soon. I love to talk about old Hollywood show business industry. And of course, I do my intuitive readings. But to do a show like I did last week, I was talking about the death of my cat, that I didn't know what that show was going to be. I didn't know if I was going to come on for 5 minutes and get off. I didn't know if I was going to break down on the show. I didn't know how emotional I was going to get. I didn't know how hard it was going to be. But there was a part of me that wanted to cancel the show altogether, because I ended up not doing my 2 shows with Dr. Whimsy last week. She was very gracious to say, please take some time off to grieve. I have a tendency to push myself, keep going no matter what. That old show business trooper mentality that the show goes on. And I didn't know if I could do a show. I didn't know what I was going to talk about, but I came on, and everybody was just so wonderful and so compassionate. And then I just felt everything coming out. It just, I just let spirit take over. Maybe Sasha was even guiding me. It was so much to talk about. And I thought also, if I don't go on the show and talk about it now, I'm going to have to do it the next week. I can't put it off. Too many people know Sasha. Too many people saw her on here. Too many people ask about her. I didn't want to just go, oh, she's dead. People ask how she is. I had to talk about it. I had to tell the story. I had to really go into it. And then the more I was talking last week, I realized this is perhaps something that will help other people. It's so universal. Whether it be your pet, whether it be a person, whether it be a friend. As I said, it doesn't matter the species. Love is love. Loss is loss. And so I did the show, and then I did, this is something I did last night. I worked on, and just thank you for your words. Yeah, it was vulnerable and open, but I'm, my zodiac sign is Cancer. We're very sensitive people to begin with. We wear our emotions on our sleeves. I'm hyper sensitive, and certainly not going to change that about myself. Why would I want to change that about myself? That's what makes me intuitive. It's what it helps me to do my writing. It helps me to do my art. I think it makes me a much better human being because of it. So that's who I am. And I also believe very much that if you're going to do shows like this, be honest, be real, be who you are. Um, something I said this before, but it was my acting teacher, the wonderful actress Dee Wallace. Dee Wallace, who played the mother in Steven Spielberg's classic film E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Well, she was my acting teacher, my friend. And she taught us, first of all, just this little side note, acting is not about being fake. Acting is quite the contrary. Acting is about finding truth. You take the truth of yourself. You take the truth in your soul. You take the truth in the emotions, the truth in the connection. And that's what you show. And Dee said to us, you can never lie to the camera. Ever, ever. And we would see that in class when we'd video record our scenes. You could see a false moment in somebody's eyes, or it was in their energy, it was in their aura. She said, you can never lie to the camera. You've got to be honest on the camera. So that's a lesson I take with me when I'm here, when I'm making my other videos, any of the shows I do. What you see is what you get with me. P9J, hello, Chuck. I love classic movies. Betty Davis is my favorite. So sorry about your little cat. I had 3 I had to put down. It's hard. I had a blue Russian cat. Oh, you have a blue Russian cat now. Sorry to speak in past tense. Oh, past tense. Russian blues are beautiful. They're very beautiful. Well, I love Betty Davis too. In fact, if you go on my channel, in my videos, I have a guided intuitive reading that I did with Betty Davis. And I got a pretty good response with it. It was done, I think it was done June 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. The reason I say that is because it was the time of Marilyn Monroe's 100th birthday. And I did a channeled reading with Marilyn Monroe. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to call on Betty Davis? Because I knew Betty Davis had worked with Marilyn in All About Eve. And I just, what she got to say? And, and I've said this before many times. I know when I'm on the right track and I'm being authentic in a reading, when the personality comes through and there are things being said I would never in a million years say. Betty was quite the old broad. Shall we just say Betty was quite the old broad, quite outspoken. And there's certain things that a woman can say about another woman that a man cannot say without coming off crass, misogynistic, and there was something she said. I thought, I don't know if I want to repeat this, but it was Betty's words, because Betty was very frank with me about how initially she was dismissive of Marilyn Monroe. I'm paraphrasing it, but basically Betty was saying that blonde starlets were like a dime a dozen. She was used to them. She'd been in the business like 20 years at that point. She was used to seeing the up and coming starlets. And you know what Betty said that I thought, I don't know if I want to say this, but Betty said, well, I thought she was a pair of tits and false eyelashes. I actually heard her say that. And she was saying, that she just thought Marilyn was just another of the lot. But then she went on to say that she saw most of those starlets go by the wayside. Most of them did not survive, because you have to be tough as nails and smart to survive in an industry like that, the movie industry. And she said for Marilyn Monroe to survive that and prevail and flourish and go on to become the #1 star at the studio, she said she had all my respect in the world. I came to respect her enormously because I know where she came from. So I'm paraphrasing my own reading, but if you check it out, since you're a Betty Davis fan, I was very proud of that. And also, I don't have my painting here, but I show my Betty Davis painting behind me. I have this great big painting I did of Betty from Dark Victory, her 1939 classic. And also, I'll throw this out, Deb. Betty Davis used to be my neighbor in a roundabout kind of sort of way. Betty Davis was my neighbor. And I say that's when I used to live in West Hollywood. And Betty lived 4 blocks away from me on Havenhurst Street, near Havenhurst and Sunset. She I used to think she lived in the penthouse at this building. I found out later she lived in the third floor of this old apartment building called the Colonial. And I used to love that. I used to love being able to say, well, Betty Davis is my neighbor. And, like, oh, you know her? You've met her? Well, no, but she does live near me, technically, in a roundabout sort of kind of way. She is my neighbor. It's not like I could go over and borrow garden tools or a cup of sugar, but she was my neighbor. Let me get back to my comments here. I just had to say that about Betty Davis. I'm sorry. It's just last week's show was so heavy, and I've needed to kind of lighten it up a little. I'm sure invariably Sasha's going to come up in the conversations, and I have no problem with that. I love that little girl. She's not here anymore, but she will always be my precious, precious little Sasha, my little girl, and her spirit's with me very much. Travels 3577. Oh, wait, well, first of all, poet. MZ3, glad to see you tonight. Well, even though I literally don't see you, I'm happy to see you too. I'm happy to have you here. It means a lot to me when any of you come here to join. You honor me. Truly, you honor me. Travels 3577. Sorry to hear about Sasha. I just lost my Georgia 15 years into May, and in October I lost my Leo, my cat. Oh, I know they're still with me, just as you know they're still with you. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh yeah, Sasha is still with me. In fact, sometimes it's hard to read for ourselves. You ask any intuitive. We can read for others, but we cannot read for ourselves. And I think that's because we have too much subconscious attachment to receiving answers. But Dr. Whimsy Anderson, my partner in crime, my employer, I want to say my sidekick. I'm her sidekick on her show, but she was so wonderful with me, reading into Sasha's energy. And one of the things Whimsy picked up, she said, Sasha's a little chatterbox. She likes to talk. And she said to me, Sasha was very frustrated that when she in cat form, she couldn't talk to me. There was so much she wanted to say that she couldn't say. And goodness knows she tried. If you know Siamese cats, they really do try to form words. And there's so much emotion in their meows. Like I knew what she was saying to me many times, or I could tell from the look in her eyes. And you probably saw it yourself when I would hold her up on camera. But I'm just so sorry for your own loss. And thank you for your words. And Danny, hi, how am I feeling? Well, as I said, I'm hanging in there. It's an adjustment. There are times I'm just fine. I'm able to even laugh about Sasha and think of the good memories. And there are times it hits me like, okay, I'll tell one little thing now. It's a little silly, a little ridiculous, but you pet owners understand this. I was in my kitchen yesterday. Maybe this is reflective of my bad housekeeping. But I found there was a rug behind a chair that Sasha used to like to lay on. And I found a big clump of her hair. And it was a large enough of a clump that I could actually kind of like stroke it a little bit. And it was still soft and silky, just like her. It felt like Sasha. That clump of hair, it felt like I was petting Sasha. I was, oh my God. So that took me back for a moment, and me tearful. And yes, I got out a plastic bag and I put the clump of hair in there. How can I throw that away? But yeah, I've got reminders of her everywhere. As I said last week, on my inner thigh, I've got 2 claw marks. I've got the scars of 2 claw marks. We've all had that experience where we've been sitting wearing shorts and our cat wants to jump on our laps and they miss the mark. So yeah, I have her literal mark on me. I may have that mark for the rest of my life. So I'll have a constant reminder of her there. What was this here? Arsha 0094. Can I know about situation in my mother's journey in this life? Sure, just one moment here. I just want to say hi to Gigi. Gigi, thank you for your very sweet message to me. You wrote me. I've had so many people write me emails and texts, and haven't gotten around to answering everybody, and I'm so sorry if I have missed you. I promise you it's not out of any intention to be dismissive or rude. Quite the contrary. It's just sometimes it does get overwhelming, and I miss people. But hi, Gigi. You said sending your shamanic and Reiki healing. Thank you. Healing energy, strength, courage, love, and blessings. Your new angel Sasha is watching over you. Yeah, she is my new angel. She really is my new angel. And I know she's watching over me. Whimsy even picked up on that, pets, they know when it's time to go. It may not be our idea of when it's time for them to go, but they know when it's time to go. And they know when they've, shall we say, completed their mission. Because dogs and cats are not here long. The average is 15 years. And well, as adults, that goes by fast. That goes by like the blink of the eye. I'm sure others of you out there know what I'm talking about, where it feels like just last year I was bringing home a new little kitten. And here I was taking her out again. In my hallway, I still have I promise I'll get to your reading in just a moment, but in my hallway, I have a cat carrier, obviously, and I didn't even think of the irony of this. It's still sitting there. In fact, truthfully, for the first 3 days after Sasha died, I kept the carrier outside my door, hallway. I couldn't even bring it inside. It was so painful to look at it, but I brought it in that side, mostly out of respect to my neighbors, not clutter up the hallway, but as I was looking at it just the other day, I thought, I forgot that was the carrier I brought her when I got her as a 10-week-old kitten in San Diego and picked her up and brought her back to Los Angeles. That was the carrier I brought her into this apartment in, that very carrier. She lived her entire life in this apartment. And when it was time to take her out, that last time, I took her out in that same carrier that I'd brought her in. I thought, wow, that's full circle. That's ironic. That's us cancers, we're pack rats. I guess that's a carrier I'm not going to be throwing away anytime soon. But then, I don't know. I'll get another cat. I don't know. I have no idea. I can't even bear the thought of getting another cat right now. But yeah, I have enough sense that I'll keep the carrier, keep the litter box, things like that. Pass them on. The things that I am getting rid of are her 2 scratching posts that are destroyed. They should have been replaced a long time ago. I mean, she ripped the Jesus out of those scratching posts. Nobody would want them. So I've got to get rid of those. And I gave her cat food away, and I gave her cat litter away. Some other people. I better get to that question before I get off track here. Where's it? Can I know from Arsha 0094? Can I know about my situation and my mother's journey in this life? Now, when you say your mother's, could you possibly just tell me a little more when you say your mother's journey in this life, what exactly you mean? I'm going to wait till you answer me. I just need a little more specifics there before I do that. So let's see if I have other comments here. What was this here? Pat Sparrow, will there be a portrait of Sasha? I would love to see how you capture her beautiful soul. Well, yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, there will be a portrait of Sasha. My dear friend Pam of Pomona remembers. She said that to me. Sasha wants me to do her portraits. I will do it. Hi, Whimsy. I don't know. How do I turn on my super chats? I don't know how to do that. I didn't know there was something on here called super chats. I'll look for it. But yes, Pat Sparrow, there will be a portrait of Sasha. In fact, Sasha was even giving me instructions on what she wants. She wants something very regal and beautiful because Sasha was, she was a cat of royalty. Siamese cats are all descended from the cats that belonged to the king of Siam. They were used to guard the palace. It used to be the only way you could have one was if the king of Siam gifted it to you. But thank you, Nancy Potter Johnson. Yes, Sasha, it's a loss. I'm adjusting to it. Oracle of Whimsy, Mila bit that tat today, and they said she needs to put up her rabies vaccine, and she could be put down if she bites someone again, and it's not vaccinated. Yeesh. No rabies in Oregon since 1974. Oh gosh, I'm sorry you have to do that. I'm going to admit I did not vaccinate Sasha. But the reason I didn't vaccinate Sasha is because she lived her entire life in this apartment. She was never outdoors. So I just honestly didn't see any reason to do that. But I guess, yeah, sometimes there are laws and sometimes there are even outdated laws. No rabies in Oregon since 1974. But she bit the tech today. Oh, I'm sorry I have to do that. What was this here? No check. I'm so sorry. I don't know what that is. I'm looking here. I don't see it on my computer. I don't know how to turn on Super Chat. I didn't. Let's see. Travels 3577. I had sunglasses for Georgia, which actually I lost many months ago. I replaced them and I was walking on the streets back from the mailbox. I saw those sunglasses on the road. How cool is that? They were meant to find you again. From Kim Larkin, 6693. Hi, Chuck Sacha's watching over, as we know. Yes. I know she's watching. She's probably here right now going, I'm still on camera. You just can't see me now. Your pup passed December 25th at 17 years. I'm so sorry. Yes, pets are our children, and they are a blessing. May I ask if my guides can offer guidance as in later in life career pivot? Okay, we'll see, because I'm still waiting on the other person to get back to me. So late in life career pivot. Okay. I get this card a lot when I'm reading for people when they're asking about career changes, jobs, interviews. It seems like, yeah, this is a universal thing. There's always competition, other people wanting these positions that we prize, but you know that. But just be conscious of that. That's there. What's going to get you the furthest is being in your truth, being in your absolute truth. Be really impeccably honest about what it is you want and what it is you don't want. And some people get hung up on what other people expect of them, or salary or benefits or something else, when there might truthfully be something more that you really, really want to do that would give you far more fulfillment. So just be really truthful about that. That's going to guide you very far. I get that maybe you've been in some past discontent. You're wanting to move up beyond that. What's going to get you far is the truth. Also taking the time to be in solitude, be by yourself, meditate, really, really feel what you want. Again, this ties in with the truth. Be very clear on what your priorities are. Be very specific about your priorities. And also I'm getting that your imagination, your creativity, your sense of playfulness, that's going to really guide you where you need to be and what you really want. So that's why I'm getting as far as a later in life career pivot. And this comes up for a lot of people when it's later in life career pivot, because sometimes when we're older, this is our prime time to finally do what we've really been wanting to do. So take that time, be playful, imaginative, and see where that goes. And Colleen Rieger, thank you so much for saying thank you for your loss. Sorry for your loss. And I meant to say thank you for that. It has been a big loss. Arsha 0094, all right. Thanks about you explain it. Nice to hear it from you. Well, I mean, but I had a question like what you meant about uh, like journey for your mother, what you were meaning specifically, and for yourself. I just needed that little bit of clarity before I answer your question, and then I can do that for you. If you could please tell me, um, Dylan Curran, 2685. So I got fired today for throwing something small at someone. The guy threw something back and created a scene, and he still has his job. There was a 15-minute meeting on this after work with higher ups. I am truly sorry. I'm sorry when things get misconstrued like that and we get misrepresented. I'm almost sensing like both sides of the story were not being seen here, and you took the fall for it. You took the blame. Oh, so he kept his job and you didn't. I'm sorry. I am truly, truly sorry. Okay, and then we have here, what do you see the outcome of this meeting being besides they are the way that, because they are the way they did it was very one-sided, and the owner was in the meeting. That's basically what I said before I even read your message there. Well, that's what I saw. I was sensing it was one-sided, like they were not even seeing your side of this. They were making you take the fall for this. I don't know if they feel like you started it or something, but nonetheless, it takes two people. He was participating in this also. And I think that definitely needs to be pointed out and addressed. It feels like it was very one-sided, and I'm sensing at this point you've got it. It's just imperative that you defend yourself. What have you got to lose at this point but to defend yourself and give your side of it? And I think it's very, very important. I'm sensing you've got to stay very calm, very grounded, try very hard not to get too emotional. I know that's easier said than done. Do your best to keep emotion out of it. Stay grounded, centered, focused. Know your story, even if you have to sit down and write it out exactly as you remember it from your side. Have it written out. Calmly say, this is what occurred. If you need to, apologize, make amends, give assurance it won't happen again. Or it seems like for you to throw something small at someone like that, it's like surely you were being provoked in some way. There was some impetus behind that. I said, if I knew more of the story, but it just seems like there's something unfair here, and it feels like an overreaction, and I say that based on what you've just told me here. But I would write out a very honest account. I don't know if you can go to HR, if there's anything formal you can file. It seems to me, because let me see here, you got fired today. It seems to me they should have just given you a written warning for that. I mean, if it's truly as small as you say, that to me seems extreme. There should have been a written warning, maybe reprimand you, but not fire you. So maybe you could argue that case. You deserve another chance. That's what I'm feeling from it. Susie 8389 question. So I wondered if Tim will ever show up. Past flame of mine. Well, let me get my cards out here. Still trying to figure out how to turn on super chat here. I don't see anything here. It says super chat. No, I see no button here. It says super chat. So, sorry, Whimsy said to turn on my super chat. I don't know how to do it. Let me get back to where I was. I lost my place. Past flame. What I'm getting from Tim, there's still devotion to you. There is definitely feelings, devotions, but there's something he's in denial about. Maybe you would be able to answer that better than me, but it feels like certain sort of denial, like he's not willing to look at the whole story here despite his devotion to you. I got these self-esteem card, like there's something about his own self-worth, his own confidence, his own worth. But what I got for you was new beginnings. Like, even if he doesn't come back, there may be a higher reason for this. It's going to be better, a new beginning for you, a new person, a new opportunity. Maybe he would have held you back. I don't know, but this came up, new beginnings for you, where you're going to be fine one way or the other. But I'm getting he's the one with the issues right now. Dylan Curran, if they don't fire him, I'm going after them for money because it's a double. I'm so sorry. We're getting back to these comments again. If they don't fire him, I'm going after them for money because it's a double standard. Well, in that case, I mean, based on what you're telling me, it certainly sounds that way. It might be something where you're going to have to hire a lawyer and really document this. As I said, I was getting that hit. You really need to write this out, write at your account, every single thing you can think of. And also, are there people who would be witnesses for you, who would stand up for you? You know, that's not always the case. Sometimes in the workplace, people are afraid to do that because they're afraid of endangering their own jobs. But it seems like that feels to me that's going to be essential. You're going to have some witnesses. You're going to have something to back you up. And you may need a lawyer to go after this because it certainly does seem like a double standard. And as I said, it seems to me the worst they should have done was written you up, not fire you. That seems too extreme. Arsha 0094. Actually, my mother's situation is my sister put some place, and my sister, I'm not sure if I understand what you're saying there. Actually, my mother's situation is my sister put some place, and my sister, I'm so sorry, I don't know what you mean when you say is my sister put someplace and my sister. Maybe you wrote more here because I don't understand your sentence. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Okay, let me go. Actually, I choose this, my path to being, how to make my mother can stay with me to be the same. Your wording is a little confusing. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to understand this. Actually, I choose this, my path to being. How to make my mother can stay with me? You mean, are you saying you want your mother to stay with you, to be the same? If you could please clarify that. I do apologize, but it's very hard to understand what you wrote, and I really want to read properly for you. I apologize for that. Let me just get back to some other comments here. Christy here, working through medical insurance issue. Weird. Yo, I'm sorry about that. A lot of people are going through things like that. And it's been a weird month. I think, Whimsy, you even saw that in your readings, that August is going to be quite a ride for people. We feel it's going to get better. It is going to get better in the future, but right now there's just so much uncertainty and money and businesses and relationship issues, what have you. I'm hearing it all. Dylan Curran, 2685. Exactly. My boss said, and the plant manager didn't want to fire me. The HR lady made them. Oh, yeah. It really seems like you need to talk to a lawyer. You know, like maybe a lawyer would consult with you for free just to see what kind of case you've got. But if it were me, I would want to fight that. And I hope you do. Oh, Colleen, thank you for your words. Yes, my sweet queen. That's what she was. She was like a little queen of Siam. She was. I used to say, she reminded me of Angelina Jolie playing one of those superhero action characters. because Sasha was so regal and elegant, but she could be so rambunctious, climbing on curtain rods, up in my kitchen cabinets, throwing cans on the floor. But I always said you could just put a little blue sapphire collar on her to match her blue eyes, and she could have walked the red carpet like a queen. But Arsha, I'll go through the comments here and see if you clarify that just a bit more, because I'm having trouble understanding what you're saying. Dylan Corinne, it was a joke. We always joked around, and for some reason, oh, I see. Okay, it was a joke. And we always joked around. For some reason, he snapped and he threw a tape gun at me. So did he do this first? So you say for some reason he snapped and he threw a tape gun at you. You two, oh, okay, I get it. You two joked around. You threw something at me, threw something at you, and then you say he snapped. So I take that to mean he lost his temper. Because a tape gun, that's serious. I mean, hit someone in the head, hit somebody in the eye. That's dangerous. If that's the case, he should definitely be reprimanded. If you got fired, he should be fired too. No, that's not cool. That's really not cool. Okay, let me get back here. Kelly Jacosi, it's time for me to sign off. Well, thank you for coming on. Tennis Fanga, I hope I say that right, 1513. There may be weird things going on behind the scenes. There are lots of weird things going on behind the scenes, and by that that could apply to our government right now. What's happening with our president? I mean, I try to avoid politics here and save it for the shows with Whimsy, but behind the scenes can also mean what's going on in the spirit world with our guides, our angels. I've often believed there's lots of things going on behind the scenes, and I believe that's what Sasha is even doing right now. She's behind the scenes doing things for me. Whimsy even confirmed that. Dylan Corinne 2685, I threw a piece of wire. My mom went to the owner because my mom works there, and she told him they needed to fire the guy if they were firing me. Yes, I agree. It was very small and light. Well, I know, even though it was very small and light, I guess because workplaces are, workplaces go by the book. They're very, very strict. Like, for example, in my workplace, I had coworkers, we would say inappropriate things, things that could be considered sexist or what have you, but it was because we knew each other and we understood each other and we could joke. But management cracked down and said, any of you say anything like that ever again, you will be written up, because the laws are really strict now in the workplace, and managers are afraid to not adhere to things. So even if you did throw just a little lightweight thing, that could still be considered, I know this is absurd to say this, but that could be considered assault in the workplace. I know, a wad of paper or something, but they could say that you started it. But the fact that he threw a tape gun at you, that's more serious. And yeah, it seems to me there should have been action taken on his part too. I mean, I say this just knowing what you're telling me from your side of the story. What was this very small light? Yes, I got 3 for sure. Did you mean write-ups? I don't know what you meant by that. Arsha, okay. I also explained to my sister this journey, the true, because so many. I also explained to my sister this journey, the true, because so many hiding in our religion. Well, I don't know your whole story there when you say hiding in your religion, but I know that sometimes religion can be used as a weapon, or people will hide behind it to justify some really crappy actions. But maybe you can tell me a little more, get a little more specific there. Susie Q8389. Thank you, Chuck, for your words. It helps. Appreciate your time. Love you. Oh, we'll love you right back. Thank you. Reversed Images 1165. That's an interesting name. Is there anything new in my life? I have lost my entire family. They've all passed. I'm very sorry. I'm very, very sorry. Well, that must mean something because it fell on the floor. You know, I go for cards that go out of the deck. And I saw this card first, and I thought, well, I got to have something more substantial in this because it may sound a little corny to say, is there anything new in my life? What it was the new beginnings, but I wanted to get more specific here. But this card literally flew off the table and went down on the floor. So yes, you are in for some new beginnings. I didn't want you to think I was just pulling this card going, oh, look, you have new beginnings in your life, you know, but you do. It's a positive card. You know, the person opening the door into the light, the stars above. I feel it's good for you because what I got also from that is it's going to bring balance and clarity to your life. This is where you're heading: more balance, more clarity in your life. And I get in the past there has been some despair. Now that doesn't mean necessarily anything heavy, but there has been some despair. But where you're going to find a lot of your gifts is getting more involved in your community, being more involved with people, friends. I think that's going to be very, very healthy for you. And many times, I know this is true for myself, I have found that friends become my family. You don't have to be related by blood. Dr. Whimsy and I consider her family. I think she considers me family. My friends Stephanie and Tammy, the two therapist sisters who are on here sometimes, they are as much my family as any blood relative. So you may just be making a different kind of family by getting out into your community. So that's what I got for you. Where was my place here? Let me see. No, that's very interesting. Reversed Images that I got that community card for you because I'm reading this again. You lost your entire family, and that's why I felt that real strong urge. You'll make new family. You'll meet new people. It's just not to say it takes the place of your beloved family. Please know I don't mean that, but this is part of moving on and healing. It's just like for myself with my Sasha. I am not ready to get a new cat by any means. I don't know when I'll be ready to get a new cat, but something I'm seriously considering doing, because I said this before and I've said it many, many times, that you take the love you hold in your heart and you give it to the next pet. You just pass it along, that same love. And that's how you honor the previous pet. Well, because I'm not ready to get another pet, I'm thinking of volunteering at the Pasadena SPCA. Now, I may have that wrong. It may be the Pasadena Humane Center. They don't call it the SPCA anymore. I don't know, but I'm just going to call it the SPCA. They have a beautiful cat center there. And I'm assuming they need volunteers. I'm going to ask when I'm ready, or I'll find another cat shelter. But I thought I'll just volunteer once in a while in a cat shelter, and I will give the love I gave to Sasha to other needy cats and sort of create a new cat family in that way. So it's a little like that, telling you to go out into your community. That card was very much saying that. It's new life and it feels positive. Let's see. What was this here? Okay. Let's see. I got to go back here. That's as soon as I go through this scroll here, it skips and I have to go back. Susie Q, thank you for your words. It helps. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Okay, here we are. Arsha0094. But when I explain it, still, I do unconditional love to all my siblings, do kind, but I still be myself. Yeah, unconditional love. That's the key word. You know, when they try to hurt you, they disappoint you. I get a lot of readings of people having problems with their siblings right now, especially siblings taking each other to court, disputing wills, settling estates. I see a lot of that, and that's where you gotta really find the unconditional love. People who hurt us, really hurt us, try to find that unconditional love, and sometimes that's a real stretch. That's a real exercise, especially with some certain politicians right now that will go nameless. To try to find some kind of unconditional love, some kind of compassion for them is a challenge. You know, Whimsy, you know that as a heart-centered remote viewer, where you have to find empathy for people. Oracle Whimsy, in your settings under earnings to allow tips. I don't know where that is. Insert ad, daily ads, create highlight video, add streamer. I'm not seeing it on here. I don't know, Whimsy. I know you use StreamYard. I'm using YouTube right now, so I don't know if that's what's making a difference, but I'm looking. I don't see it. I'm trying to find it. I'm gonna have to look later, so I won't keep all these people waiting. In your settings under earnings to allow to receive tips. I think I have to be in studio for that. I don't know if I can do that while I'm on live. I may have to look for it after the show. Let's see, Dylan Coran. I have also been talking to a girl at my work, and she is sad I got fired because I'm one of her only friends in general. How do you see her and I progressing? Because I feel a connection for sure. For certain, your relationship has been business, but going beyond that, well, there's definitely discontent from her. It's been a business relationship, but whether it's going to go beyond your work, not getting anything clear here beyond work, other than it's just very important you just be very focused on your priorities right now, such as perhaps seeing a lawyer, getting some advice what to do about your job here. Maybe she could be a witness for you, but right now I'm getting it's more of a business work type relationship, and whether it's going to go beyond that, I'm not getting a clear answer. I'm getting more about you being, it's important to remain in your priorities, taking the time you need for yourself, some solitude right now. But as far as that goes, I'm not getting a clear answer. And that's just reading the energy in the moment. I'm just being honest on that. I'm not sure where that would go. And maybe that's because I've seen this happen many times where people do get seemingly close in the workplace, but it rarely goes beyond that. Once a person leaves, oh, we'll see each other. Oh, we'll get together. And then it never happens. I don't know. I'm just kind of feeling like a little like that, but I don't want to put a damper on it because maybe energy will shift. Maybe she will be there for you, but I'm just getting, it's more important for you to focus on yourself right now and your own priorities, but be open-minded to that. And certainly receptive, and you may need her. You may need any witnesses you can possibly get if she saw this taking place and knows the circumstances. If anything, she could be maybe a character witness for you. You know, yeah, and the tape gun hit you. That's not cool. Oh, you have 3 witnesses. Good. Oh, reversed images. I'm glad you understood what I was saying. I hope that made sense for you. Hope that made sense. Democrat originally were going to suspend me, but they didn't let me. write a statement. So I emailed my boss a statement. And then an hour later, I got a call saying I was fired. I don't know. It just, something doesn't feel right. Like they took some shortcuts here. They didn't give you a chance to present your full case. And maybe they're even counting on you not making your full case. Maybe, they're hoping that you'll just dismiss this. Maybe they'll think, well, maybe it wasn't worth it to her to go out and get a lawyer and sue us or something. I've known people who have been let go like that because the bosses figure, what are they going to do? Sue us? They're not going to do that. Or at least they bank on that. But I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It seems like you should have been allowed to write a statement. And that's certainly something, when you write all this out, document that. If you do go to a lawyer, have all of this clearly documented. I think that's also why I got that card. You need right now to be very grounded and focus on your priorities. And your priority is getting everything documented as clear as you can possibly make it to make a case. Reversed image. My life was very much second class by my family. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Dylan Coran. So I guess they shouldn't have sent the email. Well, by that, were you fired by email? Is that what they did? Let me look back here. They didn't let you write a statement. So you emailed your boss a statement, then an hour later, you got a call saying you were fired. But you said they shouldn't have sent the email. And that's where I'm confused. What email did they send? One thing I do know, because I was once in a lawsuit over a landlord issue, and my lawyer told me every email, every text message is considered a legal document in court. It has the timestamp on it, the date. Save all of that. You've got to really document your case. Again, I got the card for you. Be about your priorities right now. Be really about this. Like even tonight, really think, okay, what have I got to document myself here? What do I have as backups? Who do I have to be my witness for me? Will they do this for me? Write your story as clearly as you can. Reverse images 1165. Thank you. I'm looking for a new place to be in my life. And that just skipped on me while I was reading that. Let me go back. I'm looking for a new place to be in my life, just new ideas and people. Yeah, that's why I got that card. Get out in your community, your people. Community can mean many different things. It can be taking classes, at a community college. It can be, I don't know if you're involved in a church or public get-togethers, just any place where people converge, or maybe with the friends you have, renew your friendships, get out in your community. I just see that being a new lifeblood for you. I see Tennisafanga 153, Christy here. Dylan, maybe jealousy caused it. Who knows? You know better than I. I don't know all the circumstances. Reverse images, just as I did with my military friends. They were so much family, and I miss them. Yeah. They sometimes friends become more our family than our birth family. Marjorie Dijon. Would you give me a couple bits of guidance for the rest of the year? Thank you very much. And I wish you the best of everything. Margie. I like that name, Margie. I always think of that TV show, My Little Margie, Gail Storm, back in the 1950s. Well, for the rest of this year, And this comes up for several people. Always remember the life force that you are, what you got in you, your personal power. Oh, never lose sight of that. The remainder of the year, I think one of your focuses is going to be sure to have gratitude and appreciation for what is already in your life, what is around you. There's so much we take for granted. Look at the things that give you pleasure and appreciate and notice those things, because we learn a lot from the things that give us pleasure, the things that give us joy. Often that's giving us directions of where we need to go. What do we need to pursue? What do I need to be doing more to make me feel more creatively fulfilled? Whimsy and I have talked about pursuing our mastery, me, my art, her with her violin. But look for those things that give you joy and pleasure. Really, really appreciate them. Stick to your priorities. I get that you need to hold on to discipline and self-control. And again, that's not some finger being shaken at you or anything. We all need this, but just be mindful of it. Self-control, discipline, focus, be about your priorities. And I'm also getting this, I don't know what to read into this other than my last card was physical body. Like, maybe it means exercise more. We be better about your diet. As Whimsy was saying the other day on her show, eat your vegetables, eat your fruit, be mindful of your fiber. Are you drinking enough water? It could be something bigger. I'm not saying it is, but get a physical checkup. Be something to do with your body you need to check, or you need to take better care of. And I'm even seeing the moon, the moon behind here. The moon that's standing out as I'm looking at this in the monitor. The moon sometimes represents mystery, vagueness, something you need to check into, like maybe just fine, but it might be time to get a checkup to that, or it's just about taking care of your physical body. Something going on with your physical body. Just be mindful of that. And I'm also hearing, it's a cliche to say this, but I just heard it. Your body is your temple. It houses your soul. Take care of your temple. So that's what I got for you. And I hope that resonates with you for the remainder of the year. Arsha, sorry, need to go now. I'm going to work. Maybe next another. Thanks so much for your concern. I appreciate it. Yeah, Arsha, when you come back here, maybe if you could just tell me a little more specifically. I'm not saying that to criticize the way you're writing, but I need it a little clearer and more specific. And then I will do my heartfelt best to answer for you. So why don't you do that next week, please? And I thank you for coming here. And hi, Joyce. Hi, my good friend Joyce. Oh, you make me smile. I'm happy to have you here. Joyce saying, hi, y'all. Reversed images. My brother and I were not speaking. He and my stepmom with dementia write me out of my family inheritance, and we had not spoken in a year. Oh, I'm sorry. This goes on so much. It's almost like an epidemic of this. Siblings fighting over inheritances, estates, people being disinherited. It's just so, to me, it just feels so wasteful and unnecessary. And it amazes me how much it tears families apart. And it does get back to that again, what we said earlier about try all you can to find unconditional love. It's wherever, anything, especially when it's your family, your siblings, or I shouldn't say especially, because sometimes I say the reason friends can be more like family than blood family. And thankfully, this is not my own family. My own family is wonderful, and I come from the belief that my friends are my family and my family are my friends. But I see this strife going on a lot, and I realize that love is something that also Love and respect should be earned to a degree. Just because somebody's your blood relative, does that mean you automatically give them love and respect if they're not entitled, if they haven't earned it? Because sometimes friends deserve it more. So that's a shame when this happens, and when you were written out of your family inheritance. That's terrible. I had I'm share some of my personal business here. This is very personal, but not only my sister would feel about me saying it, but I guess it's okay. She and my mother was a very, very difficult woman, and my sister and my mother butted heads a lot. They were like two rams butting horns, and they were maybe too much alike. They had a bad relationship, and I thought it was unfair personally, because my sister really, really tried to make amends with our mother, but our mother, no. And so, as the final FU from the grave, she disinherited my sister and left everything to me, which I wasn't happy about that, because I thought that was really unfair. Not that my mother succeeded by any means, but she was almost like she was trying to pit the two of us against each other. I wasn't having anything to do with that. What my feeling was? I thought, okay, Mom, you left everything to me, so it's my right to do what I want to do with it, and I want to give half to my sister, because I'm not going to let money come between the relationship with my dearly beloved sister. My sister is probably my best friend in the world. We couldn't possibly be closer, and I wouldn't dream of letting money go between us. So I took charge of that. I just split it up 50-50. But I think I was under the assumption that most siblings would think like that. No, I'm hearing some really tragic stories, and here's another one. I'm just so sorry. Let me get back to some other comments here. Reverse image. Now my extended family has rejected me because I was not speaking with him, but I was tired of the pain. Well, yeah. Sounds like you were being psychologically abused, emotionally abused. You had your reasons. You stopped speaking because you were tired of the pain. I'm sorry. I wish there was a better resolution here. That's awful. That's awful. I'm terribly sorry. But may you please rebuild your life. Get out into the world. Find beautiful new people. Find a new family. And a really gracious thing, look for the unconditional love. And if you can forgive, because that's going to elevate you. It's going to elevate your soul. Oh, wait, Dylan, you're talking about that friend you text every night and have hung out twice outside of work. Well, yeah. I'm just saying that I've seen that happen where people are close when they're working together. And I've watched this personally, where once you're not working together anymore, you hardly see each other, even though you say you will. I don't know why. I was just getting ambiguity, and I didn't want to throw cold water on that, because it is possible that the two of you could form a friendship. But right now it was not coming through clearly, and I was getting more that you need to focus on what's at hand in this moment. Oh, J Cat Lady 5947. So glad you caught me alive. I'm glad I'm alive too. I'm glad you caught me. I know what you mean. You caught me live on here. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Reversed images. I get hostile workspace. Yeah. Oh wait, this skipped on me. Hostile workspaces, which is a reason for a lawsuit. Yeah. Well, there's definitely hostility there. To me, that's a given. There's hostility there. I mean, for those kind of dynamics to lead to a firing, you see, I don't know what the whole story is, but just taking their story at face value, Dylan Curran's face value story, it seems definitely like something where you need to document it and get to a lawyer. It's something does not feel right. Dylan Curran, yes, and the owner is aware of them not letting me write a statement. Now, is the owner the boss that fired you? or is the owner above the boss? Because that could possibly work in your favor. Meaning you shouldn't have sent the email. Well, I don't know the procedures at your work. And I don't know what you said in the email, how it was worded. There are a lot of variables there, but maybe it would have been better if you hadn't, because sometimes that's just throwing fuel on the fire. Oh, Dylan, if you hadn't sent the email, you wouldn't have been fired. Well, again, that's why I wish I knew what exactly you said in that email and the circumstances about the email, why it was considered inappropriate. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Elizabeth Wabra wishing love and kindness, everyone. But that's wonderful. Thank you. Emrys, hi there. Oh, don't apologize for being late. I'm just happy to have you here. Jess Miskey, I lost a friend to leukemia and I never got to say goodbye. I think of him all the time. Does he have a message for you, Jess? Okay. I got some cards here. So many times I get similar cards, about people saying be mindful, appreciate what you have in life right now. We're okay on the other side, blah, blah, blah. But I think your friend wanted to cut through all of that. Like, that's a given. You've heard that enough times. Your friend who passed away from leukemia, first of all, I want to say up front that I always hear from the other side that people are happy on the other side. They're free. They're out of that body. They're out of that life. They're almost always doing fine. So I hope you know that. I'm not going to go into it further, but I hope that's a given for you. But what I did get, that something about your survival, you've been having discontent about it. And by survival, that could be just your subsistence, your job, your living, something day-to-day living. That's what I'm getting about survival. And you've had some discontent about that, and he's very aware of it. But what he's saying is, and I think I've had this card come up for you before, you are a leader. It's through your own natural leadership you're going to rise. And what he's saying to you, be mindful of your epiphany. You're going to have an epiphany. You're going to have an idea, something intuitive. It will come to you. It's going to come to you. It might even come from him, but he's saying from the other side, you're going to get epiphanies. Yeah, you're going to get guidance, something good, and it's going to be something to do with your own inventiveness, your creativity. So it's your leadership and it's your inventiveness. You're going to get some sort of epiphany on what to do with that to better, and that's going to help to take you out of this discontent around your survival. How does that sound to you? Based on some of the readings we've done with you before, that makes sense to me. You tell me, but that's what I got. Dylan, being angry dose excuse him through. Oh, I think you meant doesn't. Being angry doesn't excuse him throwing a tape gun because that could have seriously hurt you. Right. That is never excusable. Aside from highly unprofessional, he could have endangered you. He could have put your eye out, could have hit you. It could have hit you hard on the head. Any number of things. That is never, never, never acceptable. That's why I can't believe they fired you and not him. That doesn't make sense to me. And that's definitely something to pursue. Something doesn't add up here. That does not add up at all. Kadam 1472. Hello, everyone. Hello. Aroa 911. Hello, everyone. I'm very late. Well, don't worry about it. Sometimes I'm very late coming on here. It's quite okay. Reverse images. I think you didn't mean to write my twice. My my had dementia when they changed the inheritance. Did you mean your mother? I'm sorry. It says my had dementia when they changed the inheritance. I don't know if you're referring to your mother there. I don't know when you say my. But was this a case of where they were taking advantage of the dementia to persuade to change the inheritance? If that's the case, if you could prove that, you might have something you could take to court over. Reverse image. My brother told me he wished me and my family was dead. Well, I know that's hard. I know that's devastating to hear something like that from a family member. But this is where, when I said we're called upon to find unconditional love and forgiveness, that's clearly a very lost soul. That is somebody who hates themselves. That's somebody who hates themselves. They can say a vicious thing like that. Terribly sorry. Rockin' Pony Lady. Hi. Don't apologize for being late. It's just sweet of you all to jump on board and join. Okay, let me go back here. Every time I go down, this skips and then I have to find the place again. Okay, Dylan Grant again. The girl did ask me to take her to a Gators football game, so I am in September. I told her that when I texted her this morning. Well, that's good. That's good. I hope that you do form a friendship. I do hope something comes out of this. Goodness knows I've been friends with people. It was eons ago I worked with. You've all met Anastasia, who's been on this show. We worked together, how many years ago? I got to think on this, 2012. Yeah, about 14 years ago. And that the jobs have long since gone away, but the friendship endures. So I hope that happens for you. And it sounds like you do need someone who can back you up if you have to pursue this. Hi, Rockin' Pony Lady. Thank you for your words. What was this reversed image? It sounds like someone is collecting information. Wouldn't say much. Now, I'm not sure if you're referring to your case or Dylan Karan. I'm not sure what you mean by that. But yeah, you do have to be careful. Certainly in this era of social media, it's much easier for people to spy on us, collect information. It's not unusual to have like something you said on Facebook 10 years ago be used against you, like in a workplace or a court of law, if they're trying to prove something on you. So you have to be careful. There's that old joke, I'm glad to be as old as I am because all the crap I did in college was not documented because nobody had cell phones then, and it's true. It's true. And I think well, come on, we've all done things in our youth. I mean, unless we were a saint or something, we did wild things in college. I didn't do a lot of wild things in college. I was relatively tame, but I do have things that I'm glad were not documented on an iPhone had they had existed in those days. So yeah, we have to be mindful of that constantly. The owner is above the boss. Okay, that could be in your favor. So it means your boss's word is not the final word. He owns the whole company. I told her I would take her. Oh, you told her your game, the friend. Yeah, the HR lady was the one who told the boss to fire me. A guy in another department got fired wrongly, and then he rehired a few days later. So I don't know. Was this a case where the HR lady was responsible for that guy getting fired and then later being rehired because it was wrong? Because this could all be in your favor. So again, as I said, with that card I got for you, priorities, that there is nothing more important to focus on right now than your priorities of really documenting this case. All of this stuff, like stuff you're saying right now. Yeah. Write all that down. Write it. You've got a case here, it sounds like. And I'm glad your friend was excited you were going to take her to the game. I'm glad. J Cat Lady, I use speech to text a lot of times. It does not get it correct. I know we all do that. I see that on here. And, honestly, I worry about it because I never want to insult somebody. And, and I felt bad like that woman was on here. I really was trying. I'm on here live in the moment, and I was trying to decipher what she was saying, but the sentences just were not making sense, and I didn't want to be rude or insulting to her in any way. I worried about that. But yeah, when we're talking, I've had this happen to me. When I'm voice dictating something. One funny story about that, and I do the show with Dr. Whimsy Anderson where we talk a lot of news events. I will prepare beforehand in the show, and and I have my iPad in front of me, and so I comb through. I listen to podcasts today. I look at the New York Times, USA Today. I look for the top news stories on the internet, and sometimes I will voice dictate that into the iPad. I learned a long time ago, you damn well better proofread, because sometimes when you voice dictate, it will completely change what you said, and sometimes come up with some really absurd stuff, like, offhand, like the Strait of Hormuz has been a lot in the news. It came up with Howre, Howre, Moose, Moose, Strait of Hormuz. I mean, but that's minor. And at least that's phonetic. If I were reading that on the air, it would still sound like Hormuz. But I've had, in the beginning, I didn't always proofread. And sometimes I'd be live on the air doing the show, and I'd be reading my notes, and it would just be all this garbled nonsense. Like, what the hell was this supposed to mean? And it's really embarrassing when you're on live. That's where you look like a deer in the headlights. So I learned never to trust. How's that for voice correction? Trust voice dictation. Sometimes it's downright evil. Get back to the comments here. Okay, I should go. Okay, I get. Since my older brother took most everything from our parents when they were diminished, and I didn't have the funds to challenge it in time, do you see him waking up and sharing some of, what was that, 117 million? This is where it's difficult, because I see an answer and it's not quite what I want to say to you, and I don't want to ever be discouraging, because there's a chance I could be wrong, or I could be reading the energy in the moment. Energy changes, things change, people change. But what I'm getting in this moment, your brother's very much about himself, to the point of selfishness. He's very much, I know sometimes these same cards come up, but they have different meanings pertaining. He's very much about his own agenda, his own priorities. He's thinking about himself. He's not a happy person. A lot of discontent, which that in itself can shut your heart down. I think for him to share some of the, to quote unquote wake up and share, he's got to open his heart up. And I'm seeing from that discontent, he's still shut down. He's very much about his own survival in the world, which that in itself can make you selfish and miserly. And I'm getting, he's holding shame. He's got shame. He's got guilt. He's not happy, but I just don't see at this time him just having like this, I'm going to share my millions, or I've been wrong, forgive me. Not at this time. I'm not seeing anything like that. And this is where I really wish I could give you a better answer, but you want me to be honest. That's what I'm seeing right now. They've all passed away. Um, it was your stepmom with dementia. It's a shame you didn't have the funds to challenge that, because it could very well be she was under duress and they were taking advantage of a situation. And if you could prove that in a court of law, that would have gone a long way towards you. I don't know what the statute of limitations are now, if there's anything you could done, or even you're ever able to do that. But your brother needs to open his heart up a lot more. A lot more. I'm so sorry. And my dear, dear friend, Dr. Stephanie, I love you. You and Tammy both. Don't worry about being late. It's okay. A lot of people have been coming on late. I come on late too sometimes. I get busy. But I was just mentioning you earlier in the show, Stephanie and Tammy, because it was the subject of how our friends can be more our family than our birth family. And, I mentioned I've been lucky with my own birth family. That's not an issue, but it's just been coming up with a lot of people on here in private readings. People have been done really wrong by their birth family. And I was getting that, the love and respect is something that should be earned, and it's not accorded just because you're related by DNA or something. That's why many times our friends are more our family. You two are my family, very much my family, and have been for a long, long time. And I'm happy to have you here. Andy, you're on here too. I'm glad you're here. Oh, Andy, you're not a bother. Come on. And you sent me a sweet message about Sasha. Thank you for that very much. Thank you. All of you who have sent me messages, I'm grateful. I haven't been the best about getting back to everyone on it. Sometimes it is overwhelming, and I'm still processing my Sasha, but I'm getting there. It's been 10 days. It's something we have to accept, and I will. And as I said, I may deal with some of my grief. I'm considering volunteering at a cat shelter, and because I'm just not ready to get another cat for a long, long time. So I think that's what I may do, is just give my love to other cats for a while. And that's how I will honor my Sasha. And that's also part about extending our family. Sasha was my family. Well, I'll extend that family love to other kitty cats. Stephanie, you and Tammy know how much we love our kitties. And Jess Minsky, I hope that helped you. Thank you. Amherst and Dylan, yes, it was. He documented everything. I'm glad to hear that. So, yeah, if you come on next week, let me know how this is going for you. Please, I care very much. Oh, thank you, Reversed Images. Thank you very, very much, Rock and Pony Lady. God, I love your name, Rock and Pony Lady. You were saying, my brother walked away from our family years ago, didn't even go to our mother's funeral. I mean, it just blows me away when I hear these stories. I think I take a lot for granted because I didn't have that in my own family. Like I mentioned, my own sister and I, we were related by blood, but we're also best friends too. So it's the best of both worlds there. And how when our mother disinherited her, I was not going to take part in that. I am of the belief you don't put money over love ever. You don't put money over your family, but there are plenty of people who don't seem to think that way. And this is an education for me as I'm learning this myself and seeing it. And I think many of you may be surprised by it, but it's becoming quite universal for some reason, more than it should be. Maybe that's not the right word to say universal, but maybe it's becoming a lot more common and prevalent than I ever dreamt possible. I just always assumed that others felt the same way. You don't put money over love and family. But anyway, what was this here? Let me go back. It skipped on me again. Jet Cat Lady 5947. Thank you for your sweet words. Rock and Pony. Well, what are you gonna do? I know. Well, sometimes like I get cards for people where, like the person I got that Epiphany card for. Epiphany often means guidance. from the other side. We're constantly being guided. We have our angels around us. Sasha is my new angel right now. We sometimes have to get quiet and grounded and centered and really listen, because the guidance is there. When we don't know what the next step is, or something looks really, really impossible, they'll be like, wait a minute, did you look at this? And then sometimes you just have to take that little epiphany, and then, okay, what's the next step? And the next step, and the next step. And it's surprising how those little steps turn into a journey. Amherst, yes, that's accurate, Chuck. He's very selfish and has reptile energy. Well, Dr. Whimsy was talking about this on one of her shows, and she talked about it with me when she was training me to be a naturopathic doctor's assistant. And we were talking about the brain, and you look at the spinal cord, the head of the spinal cord in the back of our brain. That's like our origin, where we came from. It's the spinal cord literally looks like a snake and a head. And, it's like we evolved from being reptiles. And, the frontal area, this is where we do our thinking, a lot of our feeling, but this is the back of the head. This is very cold, reptilian. It's said that that's like, I think Whimsy was talking about this. It's like a psychopath energy. Psychopath, where there's no empathy. There's no empathy. There's no love. There's no feelings for another. So yeah, I get what you're saying when it's like a reptile energy. It's like a sociopath. I was getting that in my cards, that he's just very, in this moment, because I wanted to say there's always potential for change, but I was getting that he's very much about himself right now and about his own survival. And he's very selfish about it. And he's not thinking about giving any of his money away anytime soon. He's hoarding it. Reversed images. I wish I could take the pain of being treated badly by family. I lived the pain my entire life, and now I have learned to suffer in silence and cry alone, and I don't want people to hurt. Well, that tells me that you have a lot of empathy, and I think you have a lot of love, and you have a lot of sensitivity. And my first thought was, I wish you could get counseling, you could get therapy to work through this, because you seem like a good person. There's a lot of good in you to give to people, a lot of love, a lot of empathy. And many times those are the people that do some of the greatest things in the world. Who comes to mind is Eleanor Roosevelt. Eleanor Roosevelt was, she was a plain, homely little girl, and her mother was a great beauty. And her mother constantly put her down and ridiculed her and called her ugly and homely, and really chipped away at Eleanor Roosevelt's self-esteem. But in later years, she used that, because that hurt she felt gave her so much empathy for other people in similar situations. She had a great empathy for the common man. And when her husband became president, she became first lady. She became probably the most influential first lady in history. She used what she had to help people. This is a woman who would go to hospitals and visit soldiers and write letters to their mothers for them. She would go have herself lowered down into coal mines so she could talk to the coal miners. She would go into schools. She would go into institutions of varying kinds where they had kitchens, and she would go in the back and go in the kitchen and lift the lids on the pots to see that the people were being fed properly. They were being taken care of. All of that came out of that great pain of her childhood. And she learned to use that to do good for others. And I'm just sensing, yes, you've been hurt badly, and I don't want to diminish that in any way, but I hope you can find a way to transmute that pain, to take your suffering, as you said, you're suffering in silence, crying alone. Find other people who are in pain because you have an understanding that most people will never have. You've got it. You've lived it. You've walked the walk. You might even be a counselor yourself, or just, I don't know, volunteer work. Give people a shoulder to cry on, to talk to. I bet you're a good listener because of what you've gone through. And sometimes that in itself is powerful and profound and changes lives. I'm off my soapbox, but that's what I was feeling for you. Immerse, what you want isn't even a rounding error. Yeah, I got that. I don't feel like you're asking for anything unfair, unjust. You know, if it was truly that big of a settlement, couldn't share a little of that with you? You couldn't have the decency to do a little? You know, it's like I said, I split with my sister because it was the conscionable thing to do. Reverse images, your brother passed away a few weeks ago. I'm so sorry. So sorry. But I am truly sorry for how you've been treated. But I'm just sensing you can transmute this to do a lot of good for people. And in turn, that's going to lift your spirit. That's going to lift your soul. That's going to open your heart up more and ease the pain because you found something constructive and meaningful to do with that. You know, I'll tell you my own life. I was a seriously bullied child. I went through incredible psychological abuse. And for many years, I didn't even think of it in those terms until I visited the spiritual writer Shakti Gawain, lived just across from San Francisco Bay. You know, she wrote Creative Visualization, Living in the Light, a lot of spiritual books. I love that lady. She got to be my friend. I got to visit her in her home, and we were talking about it. And she said, Chuck, you need to own the fact that you're a victim of child abuse. I said, well, I didn't have any adults doing that. She said, no, but you had other children. And she said, child abuse can come from other children. Abuse is abuse, psychological abuse, cruelty. You've got to own that before you can heal from it. And also, you know, I've shared with my mother. That's another story. She was a troubled woman. But I've often thought I should volunteer, you know, like working phones or something with bullied children, you know, teenagers, people who have gone through this themselves, because I understand it. I've been there. You've been there. Use it, please. Use it. Make it something constructive and worthwhile. Take what you have and turn it into a gift. Turn it into a gift, if I may be so bold as to say that. Rockin' Pony Lady, comment there. Immerse, I'm so sorry. It's Andy. So how is everybody tonight? Actually, it turned more serious tonight than I thought it was going to. I never know what directions this show is going to go, but that's the beauty of this show. Andy, we're lucky. Lucky Chuck we both had Siamese cats in our lives. Yeah. Sasha was my fifth. She was my fifth. I had Siamese cats since I was 11 years old. I told the story last week about how I had to work on my mother for a long time. So we're not getting a cat. We don't need a cat. Oh, no, I want a cat. I want a cat. And for me, my love of Siamese cats started with that Disney movie, That Darned Cat. Remember that? Haley Mills, you know, That Darned Cat. And that's where I fell in love with them. And I always wanted a Siamese cat. And I finally got one, a Siamese kitten for my 11th birthday. And that was a long time ago. And Sasha was the last in the line. And so I decided what I'm going to do next. I just can't think about getting another cat right now. So, but yeah, Andy, we were lucky. They're amazing animals. They're my favorite breed of cat. I just can't help it. I love them. I used to joke that when I go to the zoo, I want to say, take me to the Siamese cat exhibit. I just want to see a big cage of Siamese cats playing. They're so much fun to watch. And somebody who has a Siamese cat once said to me, they're like a cross between a swan and a monkey. And it's true. A swan and a monkey. Watch a Siamese cat. That's exactly what they are. Let me get back to comments here. Did I lose my place? Let me see here. Okay, I think I might have gone back too far here. I'm sorry. Let me get back here quickly. This is the pitfall of being on live and also getting off on a tangent. But Aroa 911, we're having a cold snap for the next couple of days, having a high of 9 Celsius today, and tomorrow with a cold wind chill bringing it down to feeling about 5. Wow. I'd trade places with you. It is hotter than holy hell here in Los Angeles right now. I'm amazed. I don't have sweat rolling off of me. I have a fan down here at my feet. I have the air conditioner running. Only reason I have a shirt on right now is because I'm doing a show. Otherwise, I'd be, in boxer shorts right now. It's just so miserably hot, and I do not like heat. I hear people saying, "Oh, don't you just love this hot weather?" And I want to say, "Are you out of your mind? Did you have a stroke or something? Did you have heat stroke?" I don't relate to hot weather. I never have. I never will. It doesn't agree with me. I'm allergic to hot weather. I find it, to me, it's like having a nonstop anxiety attack. It's relentless. I just feel irritable and edgy and I can't focus. And okay, enough bitching and kvetching. Boy, I went back too far here. I got to go down in the comments here, find my place again. Okay. Let me go down. Okay, I see your Andy. I see your Siamese cat comment. Yeah, Rock and Pony Lady, but saying I'd like to volunteer. Oh, thank you, Andy, saying to send Chuck love, hitting the like button. Well, thank you. That's so sweet. Reversed images. I had a nervous breakdown because I was being treated badly and working in a cancer center. I can only imagine how stressful that was. I have CPTSD from all my life's trauma. I quit caring about me, but I never want anyone in pain. Well, first of all, I don't want to take your statement lightly because there's a lot you just said in just those few sentences. My heart goes out to you. I know other viewers out here undoubtedly are thinking the same thing. Our hearts go out to you. I know we have people who will be praying for you. But the first thing I wanted to say to you when you said, I quit caring about me. Well, you got to put yourself first. You got to care about yourself. You got to find a way to love yourself again. If you ever truly loved yourself, that is so critical because you can't be your best for other people until you're your best for your own self. And I know that's easier said than done, what you've gone through. And I know that's something that has to be done in baby steps, sometimes stages. That's why I do hope you can find some counseling, some therapy of some kind, and begin working through this, because I sense a very good soul there with a lot of love to give. And I really, with all my heart, wish you would start by giving that love to your own self. Please don't stop caring about yourself. Please don't. You are worthwhile, and there's a reason for your being here, and you matter. You matter very much. Don't ever forget that. Dr. Stephanie, I need, for some reason the comments are not on my screen. I wonder why. Dorica Whimsy, before anything else, you come first. Reversed images. Thank you for saying that. Yes, before anything, you come first. You know, it sounds like such a cliche. Oh, we have to love ourselves, but we do. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think I truly learned to love myself till I was 50 years old. It took me that long. I mean, you can say it in your head. Oh, of course I love myself, but to really mean it, to really own it to the core of your being, it took me till I was 50 years old. And it was a lot of processes to get there. But I do know without any question, it all starts with us. Before you can be worth a damn to anybody else, you got to be worth a damn to yourself. You got to love yourself. You got to prioritize yourself, because our lives matter as much as anybody else's. And so many times we will give ourselves away to other people and then neglect our own needs. And that's cruel. That's cruel to our own selves. We deserve our love just as much, and that's how we're our best for others. Yeah, thank you for saying that, Whimsy. Before anything else, you come first. Reverse images, Oracle Whimsy. I've tried, but if I try to work with a therapist, I have flashbacks and nightmares. Oh, terribly sorry. Terribly sorry. I don't have a quick answer for that. Dr. Stephanie, you're a therapist. I don't know if you would have any advice on that. What, may I please ask you, Stephanie, if you're watching, how, and maybe I'm overstepping my bounds here as you are a professional therapist, but what he said here is he's tried to work with a therapist, but he has flashbacks and nightmares. Would you have a little piece of advice you could give him? Because I don't know quite what to say to that. Randy DeMello, Chuck, how does a kid deal with a bully from within, like epilepsy? That's a hard question to answer. I never thought of it like that. That is like a bully within. And I had a very good friend who had to contend with that. She used to have grand mal seizures that would just come out of nowhere. And I was unfortunately with her once when it happened. And she told me one of the worst things about it was, she would, it wasn't just the seizure, but more often than not, she would hit her head, like on the sink or on the floor or something. Honestly, I don't have a quick pat answer. That's a very complex question. How does a kid deal with a bully from within, like epilepsy? I know that immediate thing that comes to mind is lots of love, lots of compassion, to be surrounded by that, by others, certainly getting the medical care that you need to try to manage the epilepsy. But yes, it is cruel. I've seen the cruelty firsthand from my friend, and I never thought of it in terms like that, a bully from within. Love and compassion for self, receiving it from others, being surrounded by it, that comes to mind. Maybe we have some wise people here. How would some other people answer that question? Sorry, these comments are coming so fast here, and they're moving before I can even answer that, because I don't want to be dismissive of that. But maybe some of you have some suggestions, some things. How would you deal with a bully within, like epilepsy? Hey, Chuck, I've been emptying up my room and bringing a lot of the stuff to put in the spare bedroom. And I found my Jimmy Carter audiobook on cassette called Living Faith. Oh, Jimmy Carter's a great, great man. I met him once. He was the real deal. I looked into that man's eyes. Oh, beautiful, blue, deep eyes with truth and honor. You could feel it from him. I've often said 2 celebrities I've met in my life where I really felt I was in the presence of an elevated soul. One was Jimmy Carter and the other was Carol Burnett, where you just felt it in their aura and in their heart. Like, oh, this is a very high soul who came to earth with a great, great purpose. I'm glad you found that. Yes, Red Rose, verbally ask your spirit guides for help. They will lead you. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I say that all the time. That's what I mean when I say follow an epiphany, follow your creativity, follow your inventiveness. That's often your guides talking to you. And many times it's the things that light you up, that give you joy, that get you excited about life. That's where you're being led. there's a lot of lessons, and it's different for everyone. And sometimes it's just following one step after another after another. It leads you to a path, and it's often a path you never would have thought consciously to do. But thank you for saying that. You know, Janelle, 1976, Beyond Every Cloud, there is a rainbow. Yeah, it's like there's my acting teacher, Dee Wallace, used to say when somebody would have something bad to them, okay, what's the gift in this? What's the gift in this? And yet sometimes you have to really ponder on that, really ponder, but she wouldn't let you off the hook until you came up with some kind of answer. And sometimes those answers would be surprising and you would see a gift. And I've even said that one of the reasons I like to keep journals, and I have journals going back to 1980, stacks of journals, you can gauge your life. And you can see if you write really honestly and objectively, like if you're going through something really shitty, crappy, horrible, like, why is this happening to me? You keep writing and go forward 3 months, 6 months, a year, and then it starts to become clear. Oh, wait a minute. This wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have gone in this direction. I wouldn't have started studying or learning this, or I wouldn't have been motivated in this way, or I wouldn't have met this person. I mean, we can think of a number of things that wouldn't have happened, or we wouldn't reach this destination later in the future, which is all documented in the journals, had it not been for that, shall we say, that storm cloud. I'll put it that way. And I guess that's another way of saying there's a rainbow after that. Reverse images. My eyes are leaking. I just want to know others are happy and smiling. That makes me feel like I giving myself something I always wanted. Well, I'm glad you do feel that way, because yeah, there's just the greatest gifts when we are in a service to others. It's the greatest thing we can give back to ourselves. It really is. It may sound corny to say it, but any of us have walked the walk and done it, we see it to be true. But yes, I still go back, though, as you give to others, do give to yourself as well. I think some of us have this idea that it's not noble, or we're being selfish, that we must give always to others. But oh no, be humble for ourselves. You know, it's like, what was this? Whimsy, you've talked about this, about sometimes mothers at the table, the last piece of cake or pie, they'll make sure their child has it instead of them or something, you know, but we will deny our own selves because we think it's noble to always do it for others. Well, we have to remember we count too. We matter. We've got to love ourselves. And of course, I know maybe that was a bad analogy, because yes, of course, a mother loves her child enough to let them have the piece of cake. But I was just trying to think of an example at the top of my head of where we will deny what we want for ourselves, what we feel would be good for us, because we think it's not noble, or we're being selfish and daring to put ourselves first. Well, sometimes when we put ourselves first, we're doing what we can to be the best of ourselves, so we can be the best for others and the best for the world. That's another way of looking at it. Andy, you said I live in West Hollywood, and I had Betty Davis. Well, it just skipped here. Okay, here we go. Betty Davis as a neighbor. Well, she was 4 blocks away. Well, as my neighbor, I had Ellen Corby, who played Grandma Walton on the Waltons. I loved Ellen Corby, adored her. Evelyn Keyes, you know, my movie star friend. I always love to say my friend, the movie star. You know, she was a big star in the 1940s. She was in Gone with the Wind, played Sue Ellen O'Hara. I love being able to say I knew someone in Gone with the Wind. I really and truly did. So she lived not far from me. She was a neighbor. Sorry, my contact lens there. See me blinking funny. My eyes are a little dry because this is weather. They come to mind. I know other celebrities have lived near me, but I just didn't know them that well. They were the ones I knew. But Betty, I certainly did not know her. That's why I say in a roundabout kind of sort of way, she was my neighbor, because she technically lived 4 blocks down the road, but that was fun. I'm going to go through here very, very quickly because getting late here. Allison Nicola, 8118. Hi, Chuck. First time listener here. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I have people tell me I have a calming voice and presence. And I appreciate that. That's a lovely compliment. I don't know. I'm just me. I've always felt I inherited my voice, my vocal cords from my mother, oddly enough. And I find that ironic because my mother's sometimes could be anything but calming. I mean, my mother was a yeller. She was a screamer. She was a shouter. But her voice projected and boomed. And back in the days when I used to do stage theater, when we had obviously no microphones or anything, you had to project. I was always good at that. I just had a voice that naturally projected outward. And I thought, thank you, Mother. That was a positive thing you passed on to me, because I remember as a kid when she had a vicious temper. And when she would get angry, we had hardwood floors. You would literally feel the floors rumble like thunder and light. It was like a goddess throwing lightning bolts, and the floor would rumble. That's her voice was like that. But anyway, thank you for your compliment. I didn't mean to get off on a tangent there, but thank you for that. I want you to know that I take that with honor. I take that with honor. Thank you very much for saying that to me. And I try to be mindful of saying that when someone's honored me. And because I said Carol Burnett was one of the most remarkable souls I've ever met in my life. It was when I met her and I told her how much she had gotten me through a rough childhood. And she gave me laughter at a time I dearly, dearly needed. And I said, there were times I feel like you even kept me alive. Carol Burnett took my hands, both my hands, held them, cried. Yes, she cried and held my hands. And then she put her hand on her heart and she said, you have honored me. And I want you to know that was my honor. That was my honor. So that's always stayed with me, that when somebody says something to me of great meaning, to remind them that, yes, you have honored me. But anyway, welcome to the family. Thank you for saying that, Andy. Calming voice like Bob Ross when he paints on TV. And that's one of the things I need to do. I need to expand my channel. And I've thought of perhaps giving art lessons on here. The main thing that stopped me from doing it thus far is because I'm a very intuitive painter. And I don't think about how I do it. I just do it. And I thought, how do I break this down so I can talk about it? And I thought, well, I've obviously had art training. I was an art major in college. I had an incredible high school art teacher named Susan Shaw that to this day I give great thanks to, because I think most of what I learned about art came from her, more so than college and high school. So I think all I have to do is think back, how did they teach me? But I've got to break it down because I've painted intuitively for so long. And I draw intuitively. I just don't, you know what? I don't come from here. I don't come from my head when I'm doing my art. I come from here. I actually can feel it from here. Many times when I'm painting, trying to mix colors, blending them, I go here. I feel the colors. I feel the vibrations of the colors, and that's how I work. And I've often thought, how do I explain that? How do I explain that I'm teaching art to people? I've got to find a way to explain it, right? Because I used to have art teachers in college. We would have our critique sessions where we had to pin our work up and each person had to critique it. And we go one by one by one. And sometimes people could get brutal with that. And sometimes people were nice. But anyway, we had to critique first our own work. We had to explain how we did it. And let me tell you, when you've got an art professor, that the answer of, well, I don't know how, I just do it, That's not going to go over with a teacher in college. They're saying, well, you damn well better find a way to explain how you did it. So how did you do it? That was it. So I had to get over that. And I just have to remember that for myself. And one day I will teach art on here. What I do, if you check out some of my videos, I have a handful where I show phases of how I create a painting. I did that recently with the portrait I did of Amelia Earhart, showing all the stages of laying down the watercolor. I didn't put any narration on it. I just showed it. But you want to see my process? There's an example right there. And I had people writing me back going, well, I'm a professional artist. I paint watercolor, but I've never seen one do it the way you do it. I don't think they meant that as a dig or anything. It was just meant, boy, you've got a different technique. And I'm like, I never even thought about it. I just do what I do. And I don't know how teachable it is. I guess I'm going to find out if I can teach this. I'm going to try. Better get back to my comments here, right? Or I'm going to be here all night. Hey, okay, from M2727. Hey, you gave me some hearts here. What advice or how can you describe someone who is Pisces sun and ascendant with moon and Gemini? I'm not an astrologer, so I don't know if I'm the person to answer this. But anyway, someone who is Pisces sun and ascendant with moon and Gemini. I was so curious because I knew you're an expert with placements. Oh, no, I'm not an expert with placements. I don't know much about astrology. The person I think you would want to talk to is Joyce Petrus. I don't know if she's still on here. She's the astrologer. I believe in astrology. I follow it for myself, but I wouldn't know the first thing about advising you there. I know some of the characteristics of Pisces, and I know sun is what's dominant. Ascended in the moon and Gemini, but I'm so sorry. I would rather you speak to someone who's authoritative there. And I don't know how you thought I was an expert with placements. So sorry if there was confusion there. I read cards, I do channeled readings. I love astrology, and I'm sorry to say I don't know more about it. So maybe Joyce, if she's here, Joyce could maybe say something to you if she's still on here. Reverse images is EMDR therapy where people touch you. So I have a reflex and I jump and swing sometimes. Well, then that may not be appropriate. I don't know if that would involve others touching you, but obviously that's about your boundaries. And if that's not appropriate for you, it's just not appropriate. And I know a qualified therapist would respect that. Randy DeMel, Chuck, I appreciate your empathy. I just turned 69 on August 1st. Happy birthday, you Leo, you. I have been seizure free for 18 years now. The kid was you. Well, then, something, Randy? I think you're the one who should be giving advice on how to deal with the bully within when it's epilepsy, because I didn't feel really qualified to answer that properly. The bully within can mean, that's a complex subject all to itself. I could talk probably 2 or 3 hours on that one, about the ways we're tortured from within. In a case like that, that's not you doing the tormenting, but it's the illness. But I'm sure you've got one hell of a story to say. If you've been seizure free for 18 years now and the kid was you, I'm sensing like you've got a book to write, or you've got certainly a nice talk to give or something, or where you should be going on a YouTube channel and telling your stories. That's a remarkable achievement right there. It's like I said to somebody else on here, you wrote 2 or 3 sentences, but 2 or 3 very powerful sentences that pack a wallop. There's a lot in that. I really hope you come forward publicly with this if you feel so compelled. I know that's a private thing and it's not right for everyone, but I bet you could really help a lot of people. A lot. Just think about that. Just think about it. Okay, let's go back here. Aroa 911, Chuck, you have the voice that I could listen to all day. Oh, you're so sweet. Just been outside and it's snowing. Oh, I wish it was snowing here in Los Angeles. Not a lot, but very cold, icy wind. You know, I would trade places with you in a heartbeat. We are having hot, muggy, humid weather, fans blowing, air conditioning, fire alerts, health warnings about the heat. I love it to be cold. But thank you what you said about my voice, because, you know, something that I would love to do, I would love to read audiobooks. I'd love to break into that profession, and I need to get more aggressive about that. You know, Dr. Whimsy and I, we do a monthly author interview. We call it our book club, where we interview independent authors. And a few of those authors I've gone on to become personal friends with. And there's one in particular, I'll protect her privacy here, but I especially love the way she writes short stories. I've said to her, you're another Hemingway, and I don't say that lightly. She's that good. And I have thought about approaching her and saying, would you let me record a test chapter for you? And would you please consider me if you've ever considered doing an audiobook? Could I just record a chapter for you? And I should do that. Sorry, my cramp in my foot there. But thank you for your lovely compliments. That means a lot to me. Oh yes, Just Misky, thank you. That's what I was thinking myself. That's where you tap the different points on your body. I'm so ignorant in that. I know years and years ago I had a little bit of training in that, and I knew a little bit about it, but I've forgotten. I think you also like tap your center of your chest as you're thinking about the issue, but I know I sound very ignorant right now and I should stop talking about it. But yeah, it is where you touch yourself. Hopefully that would be something for a person who has issues with another person touching. They'd be okay and secure enough to do it with themselves. And from my understanding, it can be quite effective. So thank you for reminding me of that. And yeah, happy birthday, Randy. Happy birthday. That's just beautiful. For 18 years, yeah. Reverse images. Oh, Chuck, I make junk journals as a creative way to share my life with my children. And I make them and just leave them in random places, and someone will smile. I love that. That is a beautiful thing to do. That's a beautiful thing to do. Oh, what a gift to others. You never know who's going to find those journals. You know what got me started journal writing? And I've always considered it a gift. It was when I was taking an acting class in college. I was an art major, but I took an elective acting class. And the teacher, it's very interesting because, you know, my last acting teacher I ever had was Dee Wallace, you know, the famous Dee Wallace. Well, my first acting teacher was a woman named Dee Slaminsky. I even said to Dee Wallace later on, I said, I went from D to D. I went to D, who starred in E.T. And I said, doesn't that sound like Morse code? But anyway, Dee Slaminsky said, as an actor, you've got to own who you are. You've got to know who you are because you are your instrument. And one of your class assignments is to start a journal. And you have to turn your journal in at the end of the semester to be graded. It's mandatory that you keep a journal. So that's where it all started. I loved the journal writing so much that after I finished the class, I kept going and I kept going and I kept going. And here it is, almost 46 years later, I'm still going with the journals. So look at what a gift those are. And I mean gift on multiple levels, because I have given journals as gifts to friends, you know, and with the little notes saying, you know, this is meant so much to me, and it's played such a role in my own personal life journey, and may it do similarly for you. So who knows, the people who pick up those journals you leave, in the fact that it just makes them smile. I'll bless you for doing that. I had a friend, she told me she would get a roll of quarters and she would go to places where like shopping malls, where children would convene, or parks, and she would take quarters and just hide them in little places where children could find them. And that was a great source of joy to her. Let's see here. Kadam, did you have any favorite plays you acted in? Yes. Well, actually, there were more. It's hard to say because there were so many I enjoyed. I loved Harvey. I loved being in the Mousetrap. Well, the fun thing about being in the Mousetrap was 2 months later, I went to London and saw the real production of the Mousetrap. I was going, oh, I was in that show. But what made that show so much fun is we had the lodge. It was so cozy. We had a real fireplace burning. We had bookshelves with old books and antiques and things. That set felt like a real location, and it felt so cozy to be there, and I just loved it. But in all seriousness, the place I really loved, one was Barefoot in the Park. Got to play the lead in that, and I was young enough. I was age appropriate to do it. I did it. I was in it on the night of my 30th birthday. What a great way to celebrate a 30th birthday, to be on stage and doing Barefoot in the Park. I love that show. The funny thing about that show was the theater, we were doing it in the middle of the summer. I mean, in the dead heat of the summer. The air conditioning wasn't working properly. And if you know Barefoot in the Park, it's set in the dead of winter. So we had to have heavy scarves and caps and coats on and gloves. And when we'd come in the doorway, woo, cold. And meantime, sweat would be rolling off of you because it was like freaking 90 degrees. So I remember that, but I love that role. And my all-time favorite show, and it was real, I told you, I grew up loving Carol Burnett, just loving that sketch comedy, those characters. And I was with a friend, we saw a play called Greater Tuna. And it was where two men in the show played all the characters. We're the women, the men, the children, the dog, everything. And it was two men each playing 10 characters. And it involved all these wigs and costume changes and gender changes. And, it was just so much fun. I saw the stage play. I saw it with the original Broadway actors. And I turned to my friend. I said, I want to be in this show. I want to be in this show. I could do this. I know I've got it in me to play 10 characters, play the men, the women, the children, the dogs. I can do that. Because it was that little part of me that always wanted to be Carol Burnett, the male Carol Burnett. I always wanted to be that. And my friend had some theater connections, and he knew of somebody out in Agora Hills who had a theater. This woman was Fred Astaire's former daughter-in-law. She was the mother of Fred Astaire III. And my friend had some clout because he had done some plays there, and she needed a new show. Something had fallen through, and he said, oh, I know a show we can do. He called me up and said, okay, she's open to it. You want to do Greater Tuna? Yes. And I got my wish. I got to do Greater Tuna. I got to star in that show. I got to play 10 characters. It was one of the most exhausting things I've ever done in my life. The hardest, one of the most challenging things I've ever done. Every dress, we had to make every rehearsal a dress rehearsal. And the reason we had to make it a dress rehearsal is because you had to practice getting in and out of those costumes as quickly as possible, and the wigs and the hats. And we had I'm sure those two guys on Broadway had dressers to help them and assistants and everything. We had just ourselves. So we'd have to go behind a screen to make the changes. So we had all the hats lined up and numbered. We had all the wigs on lined up on stands. The first act, I think I wore like layers. I'd wear layers under layers wherever it was possible, so I could just take something off and be in the next costume and be in the next costume. But sometimes that meant just completely taking things off and putting something else on, and you'd have 45 seconds to do that. If you were lucky, 45 seconds. Well, that's why we had to rehearse, dress rehearsal, because sometimes the other actor would have to like talk a little slower and stand it out. So you gave the other person enough time to make their costume change. We had to practice all of that, but I loved it. And we had a problem. We got to do a 4-week run of it. It was a big success, but it turns out that the owner of the theater neglected to get the rights to the play. You know, you have to, there's licensing fees or something. I don't know what the story was, but it turns out that the 2 Broadway actors, because they still toured the country with it, had exclusivity with the show, and they did not ever allow other actors to do that play. So my friend and I were like the only actors to do it, do Greater Tuna besides them, because I guess because we were in LA area, word eventually trickled back to them, and we got a cease and desist the last week, but thankfully it was just before the last 2 performances. But we got 2 papers reviewed us. We got excellent reviews. I got the best personal reviews I've ever gotten in my life. And there was 1 review that didn't get published because the show got shut down. And I heard about it later. And I heard that it was a particular rave for me. And I got called a male Carol Burnett. And the review never got published. And I didn't even get to see all of it, but I did hear about it. The critics said that about me. So anyway, that was very, very special. And that play was done a long time ago, but I do have a video of it. I have a very bad quality video of it, and I had it digitized, so I do have that. Anyway, I better get to these comments or I'm going to be on here forever because I got to sign out soon. Thank you. Okay. Randy Dumal, Chuck, can a movie be therapeutic? It just skipped on me. Can a movie be therapeutic? Well, my first thought was, hell yes. I watched Inception yesterday and had a dream that the brakes actually worked on the car I was driving. For years, the brakes never worked. Well, now that goes into psychic phenomenon there. I mean, I feel movies are definitely healing, definitely therapeutic. Movies are like extensions of our dreams. Movies take us to places that they take us places vicariously we could never go on our own. They show us different ways of living. They give us different concepts of thinking. I mean, I can go on and on how therapeutic a movie can be, or sometimes it can be just comfort food. Same way a television show is. I can't tell you how many people have said to me, I Love Lucy is therapy to them. They can be in the worst distress, put on a marathon of I Love Lucy, and it heals them and comforts them. Dear friend of mine, I asked her how she became an I Love Lucy fan, and she said it was when she was recovering from breast cancer, and she was going through grueling rounds of chemotherapy. And she said the only thing that got her through the chemotherapy was I Love Lucy, just watching it over and over. That was her therapy. That was her medicine. But as far as what you're saying about psychic phenomenon like that, that's actually a good question to ponder. How the brakes on you had dreamt about the brakes on your car working, and they had years they hadn't worked. I don't know. I'm trying to remember the movie Inception. I think that was a Christopher Nolan film. I believe, didn't that have Leonardo DiCaprio in it? I'm trying to remember who else. That was so long ago. But I don't know if it could have stimulated something psychic in you, something. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I'm not getting a clear hit on that. But it is certainly a coincidence. Now, it could have been also the dream you had was independent of the movie. It could have been just a premonition telling you that your brakes were going to work again. And why they started working again, I don't know either. But those are just some hits I have. Reverse image 1165. I draw with my eyes closed, and you have to look inside to find out what you're drawing. My drawings have kept me on this planet. Yeah, I know how you feel. Artist therapy. And Joyce, thank you for answering that. As far as M2727, she would need to look at your whole chart there. But Joyce is an expert astrologer. Can't talk there, astrologer, and I would turn to her for authority on that. But yes, my friend Anastasia, that's how she works. You know, she is a talented abstract painter, and she said that's how she works. She closes her eyes and just paints as she's guided, and then opens her eyes when it's done. I'm a big believer in working from here, but my technique is obviously very different. If I close my eyes, I'd be in trouble. My work, as you all have seen, is very, very detailed, very tight. I have to be laser focused and definitely have my eyes open. But we each work in our own ways because I still draw upon my intuition. It's what works for us. And I think that's lovely what you do. And I bet your work is beautiful and soulful and special. And it tells me that your work is channeled, since that's how you work. And your drawings have kept you on this planet. So they've functioned as a form of therapy all to themselves, and certainly artist therapy for me too. My goodness, yes. Andy, you tried journal writing. I had writer's block. You know, I think the best way to get through writer's block is just write down anything, even if it is pure gibberish. It doesn't matter. Just start writing down anything, because out of that gibberish, it may be pages of it, but you're going to start to see a point where it stops being gibberish, because you start breaking through whatever blockage or inhibitions were holding you back. And then you'll be amazed to what'll come out on the paper. You know, that's what I do with my journal writing. It's what I do when I do my channeled readings. I work best when I'm writing with a fountain pen and paper, or sometimes if it's coming through really quickly, I will type on my keyboard, because I am blessed to be able to type fast. And Andy, your 50th birthday is a month from this Friday. I hope you're going to do something to celebrate. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I apologize for blinking. It's my contact lenses are getting dry right now. I think it's this fan down below. Oh, Martha 369, Chuck, great to see you again. No, even though I can't see you, I can feel you. And so that's why I say, figuratively speaking, it's great to see you too. I'm glad to have you here. I just love you all coming on here. Hey, Martha, Randy, Rowan 911, Randy, I'm a real animal lover. Also, being a fire sign, I can be fiery. What about you? It almost sounds like a song. What about you? But yeah, a lot of us here are animal lovers. Oh God, I love animals. Yeah, miss my animal. Red Rose. Yeah, we need another Carol Burnett show. You know, unfortunately, I'm so sorry. My contacts are just really dry. That's why you see me blinking like this. Pardon me. I also got a drink here. Even Carol Burnett could not bring back Carol Burnett. It seems that the variety show format is just gone. I don't know if anyone can bring it back. In 1991, Carol Burnett attempted to revive her variety show. A lot of people don't know this because it only lasted 6 episodes before it was canceled. In the late 80s, she was doing a half-hour anthology show, just little mini plays, but she said, I miss doing my variety show. So she revived it, same stage 33 at CBS. Unfortunately, she did not have Vicky, Tim, and Harvey or Lyle. She didn't have her original people. She had a new cast of people. and it, for some reason, it just did not click. It just did not work. But I lived near CBS at the time. I was at 5 of the 6 tapings. I certainly wasn't around for the first Carol Burnett show. I was a kid watching it on television, but flash forward later, I was in the audience for 5 of those 6 shows. And I got to watch my idol work on the stage and do comedy and do it in the same theater and everything. But unfortunately, it flopped. It flopped badly. It got bad reviews. The ratings were bad. And I remember it was like the 4th or 5th show. It was one of the next to the last ones they taped. You would see those moments where they were taking breaks to change the sets and lights and things. And I saw Carol Burnett sit there was a little folding chair to the side of the stage. I don't think she was thinking people were looking at her or anything. As she was sitting there, she knew it wasn't working. I could see her disappointment. She looked like she was ready to cry. I mean, she was a trooper. She went on. She didn't cry, but I could just see her sitting there looking so sad. It's like she was just ready to give up herself. She knew it was over. She knew it wasn't working. I got to see that. God bless Carol Burnett. I wish somebody would bring it back. There's certainly enough talented people who could do that type of show. Trying to think, certainly some SNL alumni, several of them could do a variety show. Trying to think. Maybe you guys can think of some people who'd be really good with a variety format. Even Carol Burnett, she's still with us. God bless her. I don't think she'd ever want to take it up again at her age right now, but we need another Carol Burnett show. Arthur, yes, that was fun. Greater Tuna. That was my favorite thing I was ever able to do. Okay, let me get back to the comments here. I'm trying to speed through this because I've got to go soon. Much as I love being here with you, I've got some work I got to do tonight. Oh yes, I know Kate. She had a recent show called Palm Royale, and I know that Carol Burnett was asked who is one of the last remaining people you've never worked with, you'd like to work with, and she said Meryl Streep. And she said, people don't realize Meryl Streep is funny and she can sing. She's a musical performer. She can do comedy. I would love to do a variety special with her. Well, anyway, I forget who was interviewing her, but that interviewer went to Meryl Streep with the iPad and played that for her. And Meryl Streep looked like she was about to cry. She was so touched. And she said, I love Carol Burnett. And then she looked in the camera and said, Carol, I'm available. I don't think anything's ever come of it, and I don't know why, but Meryl Streep said, Carol, I'm available. I'll work. Like, everybody sees Carol Burnett as an honor to work with. And rightfully so. She's brought so much happiness and so much joy. In fact, Joyce and Pam and I did a 2-hour tribute to Carol Burnett. I should repost that. It gets lost with all of the videos I have on my channel, but we did a 2-hour tribute to her. And I thought we did a damn good job. I always hoped that Carol Burnett would have found it in some way and seen it, because we put love into it. And yes, Katem, I did get to do my dream role. Greater Tuna. That was my dream role. Yeah, I got called the male Carol Burnett. Yeah. I really did. I really and truly did. So, yeah, gifts and honors come to our lives in many different ways and forms. That was for me, Reverse Images. The journals I make are a place to put pictures, tickets, trinkets from travel, just small things with a memory written with it. This is my way of sharing my memories of my kids. Oh, God, that's beautiful. I hope you keep pursuing that. You know what? And again, maybe this is audacity and it's something you'd never want to do, but I just got the hit. You could turn that into a little business, or even as something you could put on Etsy or something. Make your scrapbooks and write about them. Like, as you've just said here, you will touch people's hearts and you may surprise yourself how well they would do. or if give the money to charity if you don't feel comfortable taking or whatever. But I could just see you really selling those and doing something big and meaningful. I think you've got more of an industry than you realize. It was like I was reading the story of a woman who, she told the story of how she had this dress that she loved. It's like she said she was older, she'd put on weight, most clothes did not flatter her anymore. She had this one dress that really flattered her, and she spilled a cup of coffee on it and ruined it. And she was heartsick. I mean, devastated to lose that dress. But she got the idea. Maybe I could salvage this. Maybe I could tie-dye this. I could stain it with other colors and things. And she did that because she had nothing to lose because of that big coffee stain. And the dress looked better. And she got compliments. And she got the idea. I forget all the whole story here, but cut to the chase, she opened a dress shop up of tie-dye dresses like that came about because she spilled that coffee on that one dress. You know, talk about taking a tragedy and turning it into something incredible. That's how the universe works, and taking us in little steps like that. And sometimes when something crappy happens, it's not so crappy. It just looks that way in the moment. But I love that about your scrapbooks. Yeah. Thank you, Andy, mentioning some of the stars in Inception. And I was thinking of Ellen Page, who of course is now Elliot Page. Elliot became a man, and that's beautiful. I think that's wonderful. But I knew Elliot Page when Elliot was Ellen, and Ellen was a woman, of course, at the time of making this movie. I'm being careful with my pronouns here. And I'll say she because it was appropriate at the time. She was a she. And she would come in my store. And I can't remember what it was. There was something in the movie I didn't understand because that movie was so off the wall and so strange and went in tangents. And I thought, I've got one of the stars of the movie here. I can just ask her. And she answered my question. I don't remember what it was, but it was kind of fun to be able to do that. And I might say a really, really sweet person. Really sweet. Randy DeBow, Chuck, did you see the Dawn of Dung painting made of horse manure? Yes, I did. That didn't register at first. And I thought, oh, yes, I saw that. Someone posted it on Facebook of all places. Mm-hmm. I'll keep my comments to myself, but I agreed with it. The Dawn of Dung. I didn't know that was the title of it. Martha, I had been thinking about you, Chuck, hoping you were okay. Thank you, Martha. Thank you for asking. Yeah, as I've said before on the show, it's of course a process. I shouldn't be slapping my cards down. I'm sorry about that, making noise. It's a process. I'm doing better, but I also have acknowledged having gone through grief, like with my mother, other pets I've lost. I know that grief can come out like an ocean wave and just hit you from nowhere. And like I told the story earlier, I don't think you were on here, how I found a big clump of Sasha's cat hair on a rug in my kitchen yesterday. And actually, I could pet it and it still felt like her. It was soft and silky, just like her. It felt literally like I was still petting her. Yeah, I had a moment where I broke down there. I had to get myself back together. But this is normal. I've gone through it. I've survived it, and I know I'll survive it again and take the lessons from it. And as I said, you weren't on here, but I'll just repeat it again. I'm thinking of possibly doing some volunteer work at a cat shelter because I'm just not ready to get another cat right now. So I may just take the love for her and give it to other cats for now. But I think that'll be good therapy for me too. Yeah, let's see. Pardon me, I'm speeding through these a little bit. Oh, Tatum, Meryl Streep, you said you didn't know she could sing? She sung in several of her movies. In fact, she did a whole musical, Mamma Mia. Postcards from the Edge. She sang a couple of songs in that. Trying to think of other examples. She has sung numerous times in movies. She has a fabulous voice. That woman can do anything. not mean anything. I think there was even a movie she did for Netflix called The Prom or something, which was a musical. I'm trying to think all the examples she sung in movies, but maybe some of you can chime in. But she's incredible, Mamma Mia, and she was clearly having a lot of fun. Oh, Andy, yeah, that's true. People thought it was an honor when they were being teased by Don Rickles. Well, in fact, Joan Rivers, she would have celebrities like Cher come up to her and say, "Why didn't you insult me tonight?" They wanted to be insulted. It's like, it's a sign that you had made it in the business when you had someone like Joan Rivers rake you over the coals. You were an established star. You were important enough for her to insult you. Yeah, I remember reading Cher actually said, "Why aren't you insulting me? I want you to insult me." Oh yes, that's right. Into the Woods. That was another musical performance. She was incredible in that. She played the witch. Yeah, Meryl Streep is my favorite modern actress for good reason. I could just watch her in anything. Loved her in Julie and Julia. Never in a million years would I have seen her playing Julia Child and pulling it off, but damn, she did. Pulled it off impeccably. Came very close to winning an Oscar for it. She was nominated. In fact, I think when she got her Oscar the next year, playing Margaret Thatcher, I think it was really, they were giving it to her because she should have gotten it for Julie and Julia. And then before that, Devil Wears Prada, Sophie's Choice. I can go on and on. Love her. And all the characters she plays so impeccably. Speaking of which, I wasn't too happy with Devil Wears Prada 2. I don't know if you have any opinions about that, but loved the first one. Saw the second one in the movie theater. I thought it was okay, but it's streaming now on Hulu. I watched it and I thought, oh, this does not hold up to a second viewing. Second time you watch it, you really see the flaws and the holes in it. And basically it just looks like a movie where they gathered people together to replay the characters and make some money. It just doesn't have the heart of the first one. I got to finish these comments here. Oh, you didn't have writer's block, Andy, when you tried to write a kid's story when you were in high school. It was about a zebra who was born with not stripes, but dots, and he went to an island and fell in love with a zebra that was born with dashes, and they fell in love and had a child born with full stripes. Andy, do you think you could go to that place here in your heart where you were when you didn't have writer's block, when you wrote that kid's story? Because I suspect you were just in a sense of playfulness and joy, and you weren't putting expectations on yourself, because that's one of the worst things for writer's blocks, when we start putting expectations on ourselves, or we get an idea what something's supposed to look like. I think the best way to work creatively, such as our friend here said, she closes her eyes. I hope it's her. I hope I got your gender right there. Forgive me. Sometimes I can't deal with the names, but you close your eyes and you paint. You just allow it. That's where genius comes in. That's where I do my best work. Not that I'm calling myself a genius or anything, but that's where my most inspired work comes, when I just let go of what it's supposed to look like. Or Dee Wallace was very much about that in acting class. She would really ream you out if you had what she called ideas of how the scene was supposed to go, or how it's supposed to end, or how it's supposed to play out. And she'd say, "Stop that right now. Get in the moment and just let it happen." That's where the life breathes into it, when you just let it happen. So Andy, maybe that would help you. Just allow it to happen. And if that means writing gibberish or whatever it takes to free you up. Oh, Andrew, yes, of course, Dan Aykroyd's impression of Julia Child is classic. They even put that in the movie Julie and Julia. "Oh dear, I cut the dickens out of my wrist." Oh my God. I don't know if Julia Child herself ever saw that. It was pretty shocking for its day. I think the only thing that keeps it from being shocking is that we've become desensitized to it. We've watched it so much. And I think I've reached the end of my comments here. It's not going anymore. I think this is the perfect time because it is almost 8:30 right now. I love you all dearly. Um, but I've been on here a long time. I've been on here 2 hours and 44 minutes, and I do have some work I've got to do tonight. So if I may please sign out for now, and I'll be back next week, of course. And I'm working on some new videos. I'm working on a series of videos around grief and the loss of a pet and how it can apply to other things in your life. I'm doing like little 3 to 5 minute segments. I'm still recording those, still writing them. They'll be coming up. I have a lot of stuff in the works, my channel and this show here. Thank you. I want to remind people that I am available to be commissioned to do artwork. And if you have seen my art, I know my stuff. I know what I'm doing. I've been a professional artist for many years. I have my original paintings hanging permanently in the childhood home of Lucille Ball. I have my artwork hanging in James Dean's hometown, including a large lighted sign I designed that's part of the landscape. I've been published. I can do some beautiful portraits for you. And also, I almost always get intuitive messages when I do a portrait of someone. So you get a little something extra. And that includes pet portraits. I've done pet portraits as well. And I also do private intuitive readings. I do channeled reading sessions. I'm available for all of this. I do my best to keep my rates low. You can reach me, dransfieldchuck@gmail.com, but my information is in the comments. If you'd like to reach out to me, it would be really lovely. In India, I see you have some more comments from you here. Do you have people who sure tease you badly because they knew I loved and wanted to meet a celebrity someday? Well, you know what? Andy, as someone who was brutally teased as a child, I'll clean my language up here and say, screw them. The word I want to use begins with an F, but I try to keep my language clean on here. I try, but screw them. Screw them, because people who tease you are just taking out their own lack of self-worth, their own insecurity, their own self-loathing, and they're taking it out on you, trying to bring you down to their level. Don't you let them. Don't you let them, please. You know, Andy, what a beautiful birthday gift for yourself would be to take a chance. See if you can start writing that again. Andy, you see a split screen with ads? I don't know. I'm not seeing it from my end. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to tell you there. Oh, Martha, what a sweet thing to say. Hardly a celebrity, but thank you. Thank you. You know, Andy, the reason I've been lucky, see, I live in Los Angeles. You can't live in LA and not meet celebrities. It's impossible. They're in the grocery store. They're in the post office. You go to Target. You drive down the road. You'll see a celebrity in a car. They're just around. Maybe where you're living, I don't know where you live, but probably they're not so common. But let's put it out there. Everybody, let's pray that Andy gets to meet a celebrity. It can happen. It can happen. You know what? My great wish, it took me 33 years to get this wish, and I live in LA. It took me 33 years, but I got my wish to meet Carol Burnett. It came true. I kept putting it out there. Well, you keep putting it out there too. You're going to make it happen. Okay? And I don't say that lightly. We have a lot of power in us. You have the power to do that. Listen to the song. I Hope You Dance. Oh, I love that song. It's beautiful. But anyway, I was saying you can reach me, dransfieldchuck, one word, gmail.com. It's in the comments. And also, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I am on the Oracle of Whimsy channel with my fabulous friend and mentor, Dr. Whimsy Anderson, and Joel Tilson has joined us on those shows. Talk about politics. We do readings on there for people, answer a lot of questions, hot topics. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So that's my little promotional spiel for myself. And I love the fact that you've all been on here. And now I'm at almost 2 hours and 49 minutes. And I really do need to go, but I love you. I'm grateful to you, and I will be back here next week. So thank you for now, and thank you for just being so beautiful to me, inspiring me, and the messages you've sent me have helped to heal me with Sasha. I'm grateful. Thank you.